Hello and welcome everybody to the NES Classic Edition Invitational Race. I am Sinister1. I'm here with my good buddy Mythical9. How you doing, Mythical?
I am doing so good. I was doing good before, but then I started listening to the NES music playlist that we got going, and I'm getting pumped up.
Oh yeah, this is exciting stuff, man. I'm really hyped for tonight's stream. We got three amazing players. We got an amazing event that we set up here. Just want to kind of talk about it just a little bit. Of course, the NES Classic Edition came out today, and it features 30 games from the NES. And we couldn't choose all 30 of them. We kind of had to narrow the field down a little bit. How did you think we did with our choices here today?
Oh man, we picked out three good players, and I think importantly, the three good players, they all have different strengths and weaknesses that I think are going to make for a really interesting race. First up, we got KHANanaphone. He's going to be a high-level puzzle guy, top times in lots of puzzle games, so look out for Dr. Mario. But he has a soft spot for like the weirder games. Like he's had the record in Cobra Triangle for a long time, and he's been streaming for a long time. He goes all the way back to the Ustream days. There's a post from him from like 2010 on the SDA forums. Big 20 veteran, been in numbers 1 through 4. A little sad that he missed the 5th.
And that was a shame.
He kept getting better each time too. He was like 9th, 8th, 7th, 5th. So he was destined for like top 3 next, but it wasn't to be.
Well, he's in the top 3 now. We know that much. So the question is he going to exceed expectations here and make it into the top 2 or take the top spot? He's going to be fighting against some very strong competition. We also have Toad, of course, who everybody knows. He is an NES master. He's played in most, if not all, of the big 20 races. He's won 3 out of the 5, I believe, and he's always finished strong when he's played. He's got world records in at least 20 NES games, maybe more. I mean, it's hard to keep count when it comes to this guy, man. He owns the NES. He actually did his own challenge when the NES Classic Edition was announced, that he played all 30 games. He kind of made up goals for all 30, and he played through, and I believe he completed, most of them were like full game goals for the ones that were beat the game type of games, and I believe it was like almost a 24-hour type of thing that he would do. It was very long. It was very, very, very long, but he did it. He beat it, so he's well prepared as always. His strongest games are probably going to be Super C, which he does hold the world record in, and Mega Man 2. He's got a 27, which very few people can claim in that game. He may struggle a little bit in Punch-Out and Double Dragon 2. I think those are games that he just hasn't played as much, and Punch-Out was in the first Big 20, so that was a long, long time ago, and if you play as many games as this guy, it's probably tough to kind of like remember you played a game that long ago. So
absolutely.
So yeah, that's Toad.
Last up, we got InfestedRiche, another veteran of the Big 20, top 3 every time he competes, including beating his competitor today, Toad, in Big 20 number 3. Has had records in a lot of NES games, particularly the Ninja Gaiden trilogy on both NES and SNES. And when his channel made partner to celebrate, he completed 50 NES games in 24 hours. What a guy.
Yeah, that's a pretty epic feat. That is a pretty epic feat.
And
50 games in a row.
He's won the Beat the Record competition here on Best of NES. Took the Trojan World Record. A bunch of people were competing for it. He came out on top. You can see him playing Trojan at AGDQ 2017. This year, his strong points, of course, are going to be Ninja Gaiden. Toad, not too far behind, I think, but he's definitely going to have an edge. And like KHANanaphone, he's worried about both Metroid and Kirby. Metroid, super punishing, basically, if you screw up. And Kirby just has like a really awkward set of controls that doesn't mesh well with a lot of the other games. So switching gears, I think, for that one is going to be a challenge for probably all 3 players, but particularly KHANanaphone and Rich are worried about that one.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think a lot of these games are very, very troublesome and difficult, and we're going to certainly see some struggles, but we're going to see some amazing gameplay as well. So I'm getting word from Feasel that we're pretty much ready to go. We're ready to dive in, man. There's no need to wait around. It's time to go fast. So I think Fiesel's going to go ahead and start this race. In the meantime, we can kind of just talk about the game selection a little bit until these guys get going. We kind of, as I mentioned before, we couldn't have all 30 games. I think that would be just a little too demanding. Obviously, the Big 20 itself, 20 games is quite a bit for people. So adding another 10 on top of that was a little much. We tried to kind of select from games that had already been in Big 20s, and also just kind of games that were really well known. Obviously you've got your Mario, you've got your Zelda, you've got your Mega Man. We also try to kind of have a diversity among the types of games, the genres, if you will. So we have obvious platformers, we have your sports game, we have your puzzle game, we have your open world games. Like there's everything, right? We got it all covered except for RPG. I'm very sorry that we had to omit Final Fantasy 1. But yeah, how are you feeling about the game list?
I'm feeling the loss of Final Fantasy 1 myself. I got to commentate that as the finale for the Best of NES Marathon recently, and it was a ton of fun, but we'll have to make do with what we have. And boy, is it a lot. So these guys are off.
Here we go.
They're starting.
Castlevania's up first.
Yeah. So this is the start of the entire franchise. Number 1, committed jumps, slow movement. So you need to be thinking ahead, basically, with everything you do. Damage from enemies is set per level, so it's not too bad early on. Later on, you really don't want to get hit if you can spare it, especially because there's some damage boosts that these guys are going to be looking to do.
Oh yeah, we got one coming up in the first stage too, a pretty important one, the bat boost. So right now I think they're only taking 2 damage per hit, which isn't too punishing. But this is a bit of a tricky boost, so it's going to be interesting to see if anybody misses it, because it's punishing if you miss it.
Yeah, there's also if you get the stopwatch early on, you can get it even faster. But that's an incredibly rare thing.
All right,
not surprised to not see it happen. Both setting up for it.
Ooh,
we got 1 miss, 2 miss, and
InfestedRiche
Toad is across.
Toad taking an early lead. This is what you'd expect from Toad, right? I was watching him practice the other day, and he must have missed this bat boost like 5 times, and he was like, cursing Castlevania, and then boom, comes down to the race time, and he's right in there. So, classic Toad. The other guy's getting through as well. So, I think we're going to see a lot of kind of back and forth in this, though, just the way that the schedule is, as it were, because like each player can kind of make a comeback in certain games. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think for the first 2, they're all kind of on even playing fields, but things get shaken up after that. We saw players grabbing the axe for this bat boss. Actually harder than you'd think to just whip a candle on the way down, because you fall so dang fast in this game that once you hit terminal velocity, your whip will be above the candle 1 frame and below the candle the next. But both players have got the axe, they've killed the bat, and now they have a choice to make in this next level as to what weapon they're going with. Toad has selected the cross, Rich has as well, and KHANanaphone is going to be continuing on with the axe. They all have an opportunity to switch to holy water later in the level, but due to the way that Toad is racking up a bunch of hits with his cross, he's already picked up the double. I'm guessing his plan is to keep it for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the most interesting things about this race, is to kind of see which strategies these guys are choosing. As you see Toad hit that very nice damage boost to get up there. There's a lot of choices in some of these games in terms of what you can do and how safe or how aggressive you want to be, and we're seeing that right off the bat.
All right, Toad skipping the holy water, so he is indeed going to be sticking with the crosses. He's already got the double, and I think he's got a chance to grab the triple coming up pretty soon. So he's going to be set. Both Rich and KHANanaphone coming to the holy water. Rich skipping it, KHANanaphone's going to grab it. So we are indeed going to see a divergence of strats here as they get to the second boss. Medusa's pretty straightforward. A little more random if you have the crosses. As you can see, she gets right up on top of Toad there. Not much you can do with that. Holy water will freeze her in place, though. Holy water, kind of overpowered boss killer in this game, and That means KHANanaphone's going to have no problems. Thankfully, all these players have the health they need to tank any hits from her.
Yeah, and the holy water itself doesn't deal the damage, but it freezes the enemies in place, if I'm not mistaken. So
it does some damage, but you're usually whipping too, and the damage kind of doesn't stack. So yeah, it's mostly for the freezing.
Right. So KHANanaphone and InfestedRiche keeping pace with one another. Meanwhile, Toad still maintaining his lead. Now, a lot of these games have some pretty costly deaths. I'm not trying to commentary curse anybody or anything like that, but I would expect throughout the course of the day, nobody's going through this whole race deathless. I don't think that is something that can happen. So, that's going to be a point where we see some big swings. Early on, though, these guys are all kind of avoiding that so far.
Yeah. Although these birds in this section here in level 3 are really keen to make that death happen, especially the skeleton is like the gatekeeper down here at the bottom. KHANanaphone's got holy water to deal with him, but if you've got crosses, you're kind of at his mercy. Thankfully, Toad and Rich get through okay. Also saw another damage boost early on in the level. You have to do it off of Fleamen, who are kind of a little unpredictable. They can jump low, they can jump high. You need to be able to adapt to that situation. But to be honest, the vertical damage boosts, you actually have a pretty generous window to make it happen. You can play around with it a little bit yourself, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can get that down consistently.
Yeah, damage boosting, very, very important in this and some other games that'll be coming up later on for sure. Even in games where it maybe wasn't quote-unquote intended. We'll still be seeing it anyway. These players are going to be pretty inventive with some of the strategies that they're using for these old NES games. So Toad coming up on the mummy, he's going to try to get these guys lined up just right.
Bad pattern.
And
what does he do?
Having some unfortunate luck here. Is he going to be able to get out of it?
Pattern.
Oh man.
Get out of here, mummies. Okay, this is a tough situation.
There it is, the first death. Now, InfestedRiche. Can he get it? He's struggling as well. He's running to safety here, and he's able to pull it off. So InfestedRiche actually taking the lead. KHANanaphone right behind him.
Wow. Toad's early lead cut down by quite a bit here. This is why Castlevania is one of the few kind of alarming games on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Dying, you lose your sub-weapons, and that drastically changes how you can fight bosses. They can go from total cakewalk to total nightmare. So now Toad has to figure out how to ace these mummies without the cross, with one hit left. He's just gonna, I think that was totally intentional. Knows he needs more health if he wants any chance at beating this boss.
Definitely. So not to fear, Toad, as we mentioned, very, very strong in these marathon-type races and very strong in some of the later games. So even if he is falling behind here, there's lots of chances for him to catch up. Both of the other players in a fairly dangerous stage here. You can see it's pretty easy to die. They're both being pretty careful, making their way across here. And Toad, hopefully, is going to be able to take care of the mummy boss coming up. Second chance.
Got the knife. We'll see if he decides to use it. Meanwhile, we're hoping no axe drops for either InfestedRiche or KHANanaphone.
Yeah, the axe drop here can be absolutely brutal. The drops in this game sometimes are random, sometimes are fixed depending on what's going on. And the axe is not the weapon that you want at this point. Holy water pretty much the rest of the way, I think, for these guys for the most part.
Yeah, the way it locks down bosses is pretty much irreplaceable. Toad has wrangled the mummies with just the whip, and because you kind of want to switch weapons here anyway, he's kind of back on track. He no longer has to scramble and do something he's not comfortable with.
And you can see that Rich and Khan are just step for step, like they're keeping pace with each other. Both coming up to Frankenstein here and his little buddy. Great job by KHANanaphone locking it down. If that guy gets out, like, he just goes berserk. So both of them, the holy water used to great effect, getting through, and Castlevania, man, this is a tough game here.
They're all tough.
Well,
maybe not all of them. I mean,
Yeah, some of the goals are a little bit easier, but we definitely started it off with 2 tough ones. We kind of wanted to go with the whole Metroidvania theme, since that's kind of almost become a genre in and of itself. So we're like, let's kick it off with these 2 games. Let's make things interesting right from the start, and I think we have successfully done that.
Interesting is a word we would use. I think the players something a little stronger.
But you know what though, they might be happy to get some of these games out of the way early and kind of like have some relief. Especially like Metroid, that can be a very, very scary game for sure. Because the games have a variety of how bad they punish you if you like die or game over or things like that. Some of them aren't that punishing. Some of them way more punishing. As we can see, with Castlevania, Toad obviously fell way behind. Metroid is another one. If you have a game over in that or something, you could, depending on where it is, you're in trouble. As we see Toad taking down Frankenstein here.
Had to adjust there because Frankenstein took a step. Very good read and react there from Toad, who had managed to hold on to the holy water. So he too is got fairly smooth sailing. I mean, it's Castlevania. It's always going to be, non-trivial, but with the holy water, nothing too super scary coming up until Dracula, I'd say. Though there's some bats on that long bridge that
oh yeah,
they have some randomness to them. You need to hope they kind of play nice. So we'll see what they have in store for all of our players. But that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves. First up, we got to deal with death. You want the holy water for the death fight even more than the Frankenstein fight. Wow, KHANanaphone taking the damage boost off the bone pillar down to 2 health. He's really gonna grab the wall meat here for sure.
Yeah, he's going for it. I like it. I like the aggressiveness. I think KHANanaphone, he probably knew that he'd have to play a little bit more aggressively in some of these games, and why not? Like this is Castlevania. I think he's got out of the 3. I think he might actually have the best time in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
I can take a look at that.
I think he does.
Information. I think Rich has the better time by about 30
Oh, Rich does. Okay, Rich has it. But KHANanaphone, all of them with respectable times, nonetheless. Yes. Death is down, so KHANanaphone continuing to lead as Rich finishes things off as well. So smooth sailing for both of these guys. Can they keep it up?
They're coming to the final level of Castlevania. It's going to open up with the Bat Bridge here.
Yeah, not trivial at all. The Bat Bridge and then the Dracula fight is pretty tough as well. Bad things can happen, but really good things can happen too. You could get a critical hit on Dracula. It is possible. Frame perfect,
right.
but it could happen.
You need to hit him in the same frame that you get hit. I don't know what part of that makes the game decide to deal a bunch of damage. I don't know if it's looking at the wrong memory address or what, but it does. It does a whole bunch of damage. Something like just under a third of Dracula's life, I believe. Trying to find this damage boost is KHANanaphone.
Yeah, KHANanaphone
just killing
him. He is struggling a little bit there. Let's see what Rich wants to do.
Well, no, now he's going for damage boost here, so...
So Rich just went straight through. He did not go for the damage boost there. He just said, I'm going for it.
KHANanaphone detours for the health to get back up to full. He's got all the hearts he needs for this stopwatch strategy, I think. Yeah, Rich is going to be fine as well, though he is looking pretty low on life.
Well, he grabs the health as well. But in this Dracula fight, that health is not a lot. I think at this point you're taking 4 damage per hit. I believe I can see that he maybe has about 9, so he can take 2 hits here. He'd rather not. Let's see how KHANanaphone does. He's up first.
Some funny things going on with this fight involving grabbing the holy water partway into the fight. He grabs the triple before the holy water, so this means he is only going to have a single holy water for the second phase of Dracula, and you really want 2 in order to keep him locked down in place. 1 is still pretty good. You're going to have a fair amount of control over him, but it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to scramble around a little bit, so KHANanaphone is not out of the woods yet.
Well, nobody's out of the woods yet. There's 2 more forms of Dracula, and these guys are going to have to be very, very careful. As we see Rich taking a hit. Rich could die here. He is in dangerous territory as KHANanaphone takes down Form 1. Let's see if he can make good use of that holy water.
Yeah, see, here it is. He's going to have to allow Dracula to jump several times here and put the spacing between them. But it looks like he knows how to handle this one holy water situation.
Yeah, he's looking good so far. He is looking great. On to Form 3. Can he finish it off? Meanwhile,
yes,
Rich.
he can.
Oh, man.
Rich has 2 hits left. Come on.
He is in dire straits. He is in dire straits right now. There's actually a chance for Toad to catch up, because if Rich has a death, he's got to go through this whole deal all over again. Okay, there's phase 1 down. And we can see KHANanaphone has already moved on into Metroid. He has gotten the Morph Ball, and he is off. So meanwhile, Rich doing his best here.
He's got the double holy waters. He's got nothing to fear.
Well, it's never over till it's over, man.
It'd be a total choke
could
if
happen.
he blew it there. He's good. He's going to
All right.
sigh of relief.
Rich is through. He is good to go. He is on to Metroid. So who's got the edge here? Who's got the edge?
I have no
in
idea.
Metroid?
I've been paying attention to everyone practicing this game. No one feels good about it. And 2/3 of our players feel bad about it.
Yeah, I don't think this is a game you can feel very good about. I mean, as you can see, it's a game, you start with very low health. There's not really a lot of opportunities to get health until you get the first E-Tank, but there are a lot of opportunities to take damage. So, you don't really ever feel safe in this game. There's missile drop luck. There's all kinds of bad things that can happen. So it's a game of, who's going to survive, more or less. They're trying to go fast, but they're also trying to survive. And we can see that Toad is taking on Dracula right now, so he needs to maintain pace here. This is going to be tough if he does not. And I believe that KHANanaphone is going to be the first one to get some missiles here. He's looking good so far in Metroid. Toad cannot afford to take another hit at this point. So KHANanaphone has built a pretty solid lead so far here. He's got to be feeling good about things, because, as you mentioned, I don't think he said that he was super confident in this game, or even in Castlevania for that matter, wouldn't you say?
I have no idea what you just asked me, but I'm glad that I picked up that was a break in the conversation. You cut out on my end. I don't know if you were on stream.
Okay. Well, maybe.
It was. Okay. All right. So catch me up. What are we talking about?
I was just talking about where things were going in Metroid, and it looks like, speaking of that, Toad has made it into Metroid. Thank goodness he did not have another unfortunate death in Castlevania. But I was just saying that KHANanaphone, he's got to really feel good about where things are right now. He's got a pretty decent lead, and it's early, and the games that he's really going to do well in are later on. So he's got to feel pretty good about his position right now, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. You're going to see, I think, some of the biggest swings per game are going to come from KHANanaphone, just having the mountains of experience with Zelda and Punch-Out! And Dr. Mario compared to the competitors. So those 3 games, you're going to see him pick up a ton of time. And admittedly, the other players are going to have their advantages. But I think KHANanaphone's the player where you're going to see the biggest swings. So the fact that he's still out in front this early is actually pretty huge for him.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and he does get to the E-Tank. He was taking it pretty safe there because he did not want to have a death. Again, as I mentioned early on in this game, things are a little bit scary until you get that first E-Tank. But he's going to be probably feeling good about where he is now. So there's an interesting glitch in this game. It's the door glitch. You can actually get stuck in the door, and then you can kind of go through the walls, as you see KHANanaphone doing right now. And this just allows you to get to areas that you are not supposed to be getting to. And the players, of course, are going to take advantage of that. We may see some route variations from these guys. I don't know exactly who has what planned, but there's a lot of different ways that you can go about getting to the end of this game.
Yeah, so I think the players actually have fairly similar routes They could have diverged heavily. They could have gone all the way up to morph ball bombs. They could have skipped doing all of these wraps entirely, which some of them save entire minutes of just kind of trekking around in a big loop. So thankfully, we're going to be able to hopefully keep track of everyone as they move through.
Yeah, who's going where and what are they doing? We see that KHANanaphone has gone ahead and obtained the ice beam, which of course is needed, and he's going to door glitch again because he does not have the bombs, which would be the normal way of getting out of this area if you did have bombs anyhow.
Yep.
Now,
so
it is possible to get...
intended?
Yes. It is possible to get stuck doing this, and let's hope that's not happened. KHANanaphone... Okay, it looks like
I think he's still good.
Still moving? Okay, he's still good. He's still good.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, he's in there. He's in there. It gets a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, especially because if you don't have the sound.
Yeah, we don't have the sound on, so we don't hear the like whoop 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 whoop
yeah.
whoop sound. Like, so all right, KHANanaphone looking in good shape. Rich also looking like he's doing okay. Toad has got the missiles. He's headed toward the E-tank. So we're headed into Ridley's lair. These guys are going to be taking down Ridley first and then Kraid before they head on down to Mother Brain. Now, of course, in this game, if you want to just beat it straight up any percent, you don't need to kill Ridley at all, as a matter of fact.
I'm actually not too familiar with the crazy like low percent stuff.
Well, I mean, the reason being is that, you technically only need so many missiles to complete the game. And, Ridley's going to give you, I believe, 75, and Kraid also will give you 75. That puts you in a safe place where essentially you don't have to worry about the atrocious missile luck in Torian before you fight Mother Brain. So this is pretty much more of a sure thing kind of route. Like, you don't have to worry about that luck factor, which in this kind of race, I don't think it would be wise for any of the players to try to just do Kraid for... I mean, they could if they were just wanting to take a massive lead and they thought they were good enough at Metroid. I suppose you could do it, but...
I would have been shocked if anyone had gone for that route, I think.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little crazy. And I'm not even sure that was allowed, as a matter of fact. But either way, yeah, it looks like everybody is going to be going to Ridley. So KHANanaphone, looking like he's going to get there first.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the streams got a little desynced while my internet was messed up, but I'm seeing Rich out in front by just.
Oh, is he in front now? Okay, maybe I got desynced here.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I guess he's just door glitching faster. The input to do those little badoop 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 door glitches, it's a down followed by an up very, very soon after that down input. If you're too slow hitting the up input afterwards, that's how you get soft block. But I mean, after that, you can hit down again as fast as you like. And to make sure that it goes well, a lot of players will kind of have this very measured down, up, down, up, down, up. But you can actually make up a fair amount of time if you've got a faster down-up rhythm, and I think that's the part of what's got him this this lead change here.
He has propelled himself into the lead. That's I've been able to
Players
fix things. I'm seeing things a little more
freeze
clearly
enemies
now.
Or just run past them. It's kind of personal preference. You'd think freezing them and having them not be a threat at all would be good, but the ice beam is so finicky. It's very easy to shoot 2 shots in this game rather than 1, and that will then immediately unfreeze the enemy. It's a little bit unreliable, so some players prefer to just charge on through.
Yeah, so Rich going to be taking on Ridley. Now this fight, when he does it, it's going to look very, very easy, hopefully, if things go right, but that doesn't always happen. But if essentially he can get into a position where he's just shooting Ridley, and Ridley doesn't appear to be doing very much at all. So hopefully that's what we're going to see here. If not, he would be in pretty big trouble.
Also, Rich has missiles, so he's able to deal with these bouncing balls a little more safely. KHANanaphone is going to wait them out in the corner. I like it. He has the health to take those hits if he wants, but that's pretty risky. Does get hit twice, though. Did not want that to happen, I think. Ideally, you actually want to have about this much health for the fastest possible strats, but I bet he would have preferred to have a bit of a cushion going into Ridley.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't blame him at all for taking a little bit more of a conservative path, not only just in this game, but just in general, because let's not forget that, the final game is The Legend of Zelda, which he has a pretty big advantage over these other players. So, he just wants to make sure he doesn't, if he falls behind, that he doesn't get too far behind. As we see Rich doing a great job with his mashing technique there. There's lots of different ways you can mash in this game. He takes Ridley out. He's got 75 missiles to work with, and you can see just up A to get out of there. It's going to be KHANanaphone's turn next, and he's looking good so far.
Yeah, once you get in there, Ridley's kind of a clown. As long as you have this pattern, there's basically 2 different patterns. He'll do these arcing shots, or he'll do these sine wave shots. What pattern you get is not quite so random. The RNG is not a very random RNG in this game. You can tell by looking at certain enemies what kind of pattern you're going to get from certain types of enemies and bosses. And also things like you can reliably get the same pattern on power on, and if you die, you're going to increment that RNG counter by just 1, I think, and that will kind of shift you to a pattern. So you can be prepared, like, oh, this is going to be a bad pattern. You might even want to kill yourself, take another game over, get back to a good pattern, things like that.
Absolutely. As we see Rich headed down, he is through the ceiling and heading down to the next area where he's going to take on Kraid. And notice that his health is down a little bit. I believe that is due to the up A. If you up A to warp, which is allowed in this particular race, then you're going to be taking that hit. Same thing for KHANanaphone. But luckily, this area not too dangerous, and if you need to, you could farm a little health if you're not feeling comfortable. And when you get to Kraid, there is an E-tank immediately, so you're going to be getting a refill there. So just got to take it kind of cautiously through this room. There's some bad things that can happen. So far, so good for Rich. He's just going to be freezing these enemies.
KHANanaphone wants this E-tank here. It's possible to save it, get it on the way to Mother Brain, and then you've got that refill, because there's no way to just refill your health in this game. There's no ship or anything. It's only these E-tanks, so they actually become pretty precious, not only as extending your life, but also just refilling it. So he's going to get it now, and that means he needs to time when he gets his Kraid E-tank, or maybe some other backup E-tank, but I'm pretty sure the one he has in mind is the one in Kraid's room.
And he is door glitching his way down to Kraid as we speak. Meanwhile, Rich going to go straight for it. He's in good shape. He's going to grab this E-tank, I would imagine, immediately. No, he is not.
What are you...
Oh, man, Rich going for it.
Did he forget? I don't...
Oh, no. A game over for Rich. So...
Oh, wait, I remember now. He has a crazy strat for getting this. He actually goes into the fight and freezes the needles that come out of Kraid's chest rather than just freezing the toenail things, because the needles that come out follow a pattern of 3-3-2, and then there's a break, and you use that break to go down, hit the block, and then get the E-tank.
Wow.
But he has his own way of doing it, where he gets up in Kraid's face early on there, and that is the risk of doing that. So that is a huge time loss for him. He's in a really bad situation. He needs to figure out what he wants to do.
And you got to wonder too, because we know that I'm pretty sure all these players are actually watching each other's streams, so he must have known that he had a lead there. I'm surprised to see him go that aggressive, unless he just didn't know, the strategy of just getting it right away. But it's very obvious, so I don't think that's the case. So Rich now pretty much, I mean, he's almost given up the lead here, but not quite. He actually had enough of a lead that he is still somehow ahead.
Technically, in some ways, yes. He's got enough missiles to make this fight fast, and so he's going to do it his way again. He's frozen the needles this time. This is a really good start. He's up top. You need to go up here in order to land inside that little gap. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. Meanwhile, KHANanaphone having the Kraid fight as well. And Toad, by the way, I am remiss to have not pointed out, he has been flying through Metroid. He is all the way up to Kraid, and we have all 3 players in the boss room at the same time.
Here you go. This is exactly what we talked about. Nobody is out of it. There are just so many crazy things that can happen throughout the course of this, what should be 3 hours and maybe a little bit over. We're going to see a lot of things happening. So Rich, probably a little rattled right now, but if he can regain his composure, pull things back together, he's going to need to, because Torian is no joke, my friends. This is a very, very dangerous area. Luckily, he's got a little time to kind of compose himself as he traverses his way to get there. But man, Toad's staying the course, and he is right back on track. Amazing.
Yeah, now a big thing to point out here, KHANanaphone already picked up this E-Tank that both the other players are detouring for at this moment. So on one hand, he's already got it, so he's free. Well, actually, no, it looks like Toad is skipping it. He is going straight to Mother Brain.
Rich did not get it either. He's maybe rethinking things.
Oh, he's going far enough to respawn the enemy. He's not quite sure where the trigger is. You're okay. He's definitely there. Okay.
All right, there we go. So yeah, it looks like KHANanaphone is just simply going to rely on the luck in Turian. You're going to kill a lot of Metroids along the way, and the odds are much higher that they drop health than they drop missiles, at least in my experience. I don't know if there's mathematical proof of that, but I think he's kind of just banking on that fact. And with the amount of missiles that you have here, you're really in the clear to take out Mother Brain. You got to take out the Zepatites first, which if you do things optimally, I believe take 8 missiles per. And then Mother Brain, it can vary because she can regenerate and just depends on certain variables. But if you have 25 to 30 missiles by the time you get to Mother Brain, should hopefully be okay.
Yep, it is possible to miss missiles on Mother Brain, and that makes you feel bad, especially if you're in a missile crunch. But with the counts everyone has, I think they're probably going to be okay, barring any Metroid shenanigans.
Oh, and those shenanigans are a thing.
Yes, they don't have the morph ball, so if they actually get latched onto, that is a real...
Or the bombs, rather.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the morph ball bombs, yeah.
So yeah, that...
30 health here.
And farming. He's farming. He's getting missiles, of course. You do not get what you need in this game. That's usually the case. The good news is, though, is if he goes over here, and then if he did happen to take a death immediately in Torian, if something bad happened, he would respawn right at the beginning of Torian with 30 health, which is actually more than he has right now. So, he's probably not even worried about it. He's like, let me just kill these first set of Metroids. Rich, meanwhile, as you can see, in great shape with health. Missiles, he'd probably like to pick up a few more before he gets into Mother Brain's room, just to feel safe. There are a lot of missile doors on the way there. So let's see how things play out.
All right, KHANanaphone, he's right with these other players, but with this health farm he needs to do, he's actually quite a bit further behind.
And he's going to probably need missiles too, as well, since he is going to be farming some of these guys. You can see Rich, he's just kind of moving on through, as is Toad. Rich, slim lead for the moment, but honestly, anybody could be ahead after Metroid. There's just so many things that could happen still.
The last room in particular, in Metroid, probably the scariest.
Do not.
Yeah,
do not get
pretty close, KHANanaphone. Thankfully, it's fairly safe to aim up and just shoot. It's surprisingly consistent at freezing Metroids, almost regardless of where they're coming from.
We can see that KHANanaphone is in great shape for his missiles, and as is Rich. Rich just got a really nice drop set there, but KHANanaphone's still needing health. I don't think he's going to be able to make it through the Mother Brain room with this amount of health. I mean, that room is treacherous. You're guaranteed to take a good amount of damage in that room. I don't care how well you play.
Especially since the rink is chewed him up there quite a bit.
Yeah. He's going to have to do a little bit more. He's going to have to do a little more farming. I mean, the thing is, he cannot afford at this point to die to Mother Brain. None of these players can. It sends you back to the beginning of Turian. It's just too tragic of a death. So we see Rich is up in there, and so is Toad. Both of them pretty good shape. Toad has a little bit less health here, but he is through the first Zepatite.
KHANanaphone gets a whopping pile of missiles that he does not need.
Of course. This is probably going to be missiles again, because that's the way it works. Nope, he gets some health. He may go for a little bit more of a farm, and I don't blame him at all. You cannot afford to die to Mother Brain. Now, I've seen Toad take some pretty aggressive strategies to Mother Brain, getting right up in Mother Brain's face. You can do some seriously fast missile shots, but if you fall in that lava, you are in deep trouble, and we see Toad is in deep trouble right now. He is down. He can take 2 more hits, and that's it. So he really, really needs to lock down these Rinkas with the Ice Beam.
Oh, I think he's going to go back.
Backing away.
So these Zepatites stay dead if you leave. So
that's
he's
true.
Playing it super safe.
He's in trouble, though.
All the way out and got some more health.
He's only got 27 missiles, though. This is a huge gamble on his part. I'm really I don't know what to think. I mean, I understand that he needs the health as we see Rich.
Oh,
Rich is
gets
setting up the
sniped
kill.
at the door.
Oh my
Turret
goodness.
shoots straight down.
Unbelievable.
The safe strats backfire.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow, that's why it's so dangerous, is just getting back there is really, really hard. And, you know, Metroid, like we mentioned before, this is probably the most punishing game out of all of them, I would say. This is the one. So it's not surprising at all to see a death. And KHANanaphone is going to try to avoid that same fate. As we see, Rich has done good work. He has defeated Mother Brain. He's got to complete the escape, and then he will be moving on to Super C, the first player to get there. Can KHANanaphone join him? And what's going to happen to Toad? I mean, Toad's going to have to go all the way through Turian again and take on Mother Brain again.
And he's got less health and missiles than he did before. Alright, so KHANanaphone is really, really trying to preserve his health here. Gets tagged by that turret. I'm sure that's not what he was looking for. We'll see how he deals with these
Rinkas. Shape here. He's got to just freeze the Rinkas. The Rinka patterns are totally random, and they can come from anywhere. And what you want to do ideally is have 3 of them frozen, and then position yourself where you can just get shots off against Mother Brain. So he's got 2 frozen. This one's going to keep going. So now 2 more are going to spawn. He's going to have to back off again. Ooh, and he gets a really bad spawn there. He is in trouble. Mother Brain does regenerate, so we're going to have to see what happens. Is he going to be able to pull this off? He's got enough missiles, that's for sure. Okay, he's got things a little bit more under control. He's got to watch out for that one, and if he can get this frozen...
Oh, get in there. You want to try not to block yourself off. He does leave himself a path.
Those things have huge hitboxes.
Yes, and the Rinka in the bottom left, that it spawns out of that block there with that tiny little rectangle.
Wow.
As you can see, it's just knocking him off the platform.
Oh my
you
goodness.
have to respect that spawner. He goes into the lava because he has no other option.
No outs.
Yeah, the lava doesn't hurt you too much, but at 7 health, it's going to be enough to take him down.
We really considered just not putting this game in because of how punishing it is, and you can see why. I mean, this game is just... None of these guys got 4 E-Tanks, and I think it's a little far out of the way to get a 4th E-Tank. But I would not have blamed any of them for getting a 4th E-Tank just to ensure survival. Rich now with a massive lead against these guys as he is taking out the first boss in Super C. He's got the right weapon. He's managed to maintain it. He's got the fire weapon. That's the best weapon that you want to have in this game, either that or the spread gun, depending. And we see Toad having his rematch right now, and he does indeed defeat Mother Brain this time, so he's going to stay on pace because let's not forget Super C is his game. So despite the fact that he died on Mother Brain, it is conceivable he could be ahead after Super C.
I think
not
that's
impossible. It's not
Super
impossible.
C is Toad's game with a bullet. He is the record holder, and that is not one of those little offshoot games where you're the only one who runs it. So of course, you have the record. Super C is a highly competitive. Pretty much every game in this list is a highly competitive game, and to have a record in a game like that is serious business. And these other guys, guess what? They don't really run the game. They played it a little bit, maybe for Big 20, maybe once upon a time. But the truth is, they're really green, and Toad is anything but.
And we did allow players to use the Konami code in Super C, which does allow you to start with 10 lives. I'm not sure if Rich did that or not. He would have picked up a 1-up by now. I didn't happen to catch if he did or not, but it was allowed. Either way, he's in great shape. He picked up the spread gun there. If you can mash at the right rhythm, you'll be able to get 10 bullets on the screen. Spread gun, of course, being the best weapon in the original Contra game. Super C, though, fire definitely has a little bit of an edge, wouldn't you say?
Yes, for a lot of levels. Fire it's faster, and it also has this unique kind of like charge up feature that I didn't even know for a long time. But yeah, you can hold B to charge up the fire attack. It'll take out these turrets that Toad is dealing with. But I'm struck now just by Toad's movement. It's going to just look a little more fluid, I think. It's smoothing out how you keep your forward speed while not stopping, dealing with guys who are spawning behind you. It's incredibly hard to pick up on because they're so random. They can appear pretty much anywhere. Yeah, keeping your forward speed while dealing with all those guys takes a ton of just pure practice. No amount of muscle memory is going to help you out. It's pure experience, and that's what Toad has, and that's what's going to make the biggest difference in Super C.
Yeah, Rich not too far behind though in terms of PB. Rich, he's about a minute and a half behind, but you would have to think that his consistency is not going to be quite as high as Toad's. The main thing for Rich is going to be making sure that he keeps a weapon. So if you die in this game, you're not sent back. You do respawn immediately, which is fantastic, but you of course lose whichever weapon you've picked up, and you're stuck with the pea shooter. And that makes things a little more difficult. So some deaths can be kind of punishing if you don't have a spread gun or a fire weapon coming up. But Rich has been able to maintain so far. So if he can kind of keep cruising, he doesn't need to do anything too risky. He can kind of play it safe and maintain this lead heading into Double Dragon 2.
Joyous day for KHANanaphone. Mother Brain is down. I saw him struggling with this climb a little bit. So hopefully he keeps his nerves. He gets up to the top of this thing.
And I do want to just... yeah, he's not out of it yet, but once he does get out of it, I do just want to remind folks that he has that trump card. So you guys are seeing KHANanaphone right now, you're like, oh, he's so far behind, this thing's over for him. He has that trump card known as the Legend of Zelda. He is over 3 minutes, close to 4 minutes ahead of both of these guys in that game. So just keep that in mind as we move along, that he may have some major catching up to do, but it is not out of the question.
And it's 4 minutes in Zelda, but honestly, he did some comparisons and he was like, I might pick up something like minutes in Dr. Mario.
Yes, he has a big advantage in that game as well. So depending on how things play out, as we see, Rich has had a little bit of trouble there with the bubbles. Those things are just malicious, and he's stuck with the pea shooter for the moment. I believe there's going to be a spread gun once this auto scroller gets going, so he should be able to pick that up and hopefully recover. Meanwhile, Toad taking a death. Now, Toad did not put in the Konami code, and you wouldn't expect him to. He's got to be pretty confident going into this game, but taking any death, really bad news in Super C.
Yeah, I mean, when you do a race like this, there's a lot on your mind. People are watching, there's other games coming up that you're not so comfortable with, and you're just not at your best. And so in a game with one-hit kills, things like this can happen, and so he needs to really keep his cool. I'm sure he's familiar with the pea shooter strats, so I think he's going to have the knowledge he needs to come out of this okay.
Yeah, he should. KHANanaphone, we can see, did wisely use the Konami code. He is definitely trying to avoid repeating any type of game over scenarios that have happened so far, although in this game you do get continues. So if you game over it, as long as it wasn't deep into a stage, not quite as punishing as Metroid, I would say.
Nothing is as punishing.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, Zelda, you can have some pretty punishing deaths in that. If you were to die on Ganon or something like that, that is very, very punishing. And you can see Rich has obtained that spread gun that I mentioned earlier. So he's got to be feeling a little more confident at the moment. Toad moving on to the next stage as well. He picked up a 1-up, so he is back on track.
KHANanaphone's got himself a machine gun, a little better than the pea shooter. I think technically once you have the R power up, you can actually mash faster with the pea shooter than you can.
That is correct.
With the machine gun, but you need to be pretty darn good at mashing in order to make that magic happen.
You do indeed. Nicely done there by KHANanaphone. He's got bullets coming from every angle, and he just avoids all of them, maintaining his spread gun. And we can see that Toad's kind of making his way back here. He is all of a sudden in the same stage as InfestedRiche.
He is at the end of it, and it is a fairly long stage.
Granted that it is an auto-scroller coming up here, but just the fact that he's in the same stage and knowing that he had that big death in Castlevania, he had the death to Mother Brain, and it's like, how is he here right now? So just the little optimizations all add up over time, right? So, little parts that we might not notice immediately, that's what's bringing him in and keeping him close. So meanwhile, Rich Rich in pretty good shape here. Is he gonna forego the fire? He does.
Sticking with the spreader. Spreader in this scenario is not as fast as fire. F stands for fast, apparently. But the spreader is still pretty quick, and it's a heck of a lot safer. Covers a ton of area. That is the weakness of the fire, being the one projectile. It does explode, but there are some times when you really want your attacks to fan out and hit a whole bunch of enemies. That's what spreader's there for.
Well, that's probably a good idea then. And he's got a pretty good spread rhythm going on as well. Spread rhythm isn't just about mashing. It's about mashing at at a certain frequency rather than just a certain speed. So Rich doing that well. You can see he kind of does the turnaround there. He's taking nice precautions. I like what he's doing in terms of he's willing to lose 30 frames to make sure something dumb doesn't happen at this point.
This is the smart thing to do. It's kind of tempting in a game like this to just be like, well, the speed run is you hold right, and then you do things so that you never stop holding right. But the truth is, you can stop holding right sometimes. Who would have thought? Even in a speed run, it's not completely insane to stop holding right and do what you need to do to make yourself safe. Wow, Toad just obliterates this boss. There's the power of the fire.
Now
work.
Rich is in a dangerous area here. There are these random mouth spawns that could just snipe him out of nowhere, and he's on a good line right now. Hopefully he can avoid them, and it looks like he is almost in the clear here.
I think he's
okay. So that's very good news for him. Losing your sub-weapon there, you have a few other opportunities at weapons again, but he doesn't even need it. He's got spread gun. He's all the way through. He's coming up to the boss pretty shortly, and then it's just a mash fest from there.
Toad going with spread as well. I know there is a point where you want spread, but I thought it was a little later, but he did definitely go for it. It wasn't an accident, and now he has died, so
now he's lost
back to the pea shooter.
Back to the pea shooter. Toad, knowing he's behind, I think he's playing a little bit more aggressively, not only because he's behind, but because this is his game. If he's going to take a shot, why not take it in the game that he's best at? Meanwhile, KHANanaphone seems to be doing okay. Kind of slow and steady. He's perhaps the tortoise in this race at the moment, but he may become the hare at the very end.
Well, the tortoise wins that race. You want to be the tortoise. The truth is, and also he had the laser actually for quite a bit.
He did.
For some people, pea shooter may be more favorable than the laser. It's not great.
Laser is a tough weapon to use correctly. It's just very strange. I don't know. I don't like using laser personally. I find it tough, and I can mash pretty well, so I'd rather go with pea shooter. But laser is definitely powerful though, so at least if you can use it correctly, there's that. As we see Rich, speaking of the laser, has now picked it up, and he's headed down. He doesn't like it. He wants to get back to something better. Now, I think that was actually machine gun that he picked up, though, and that's an unfortunate drop because you can actually mash faster than machine gun shoots. So he's actually got a worse situation, but
perhaps the spread here at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay, so he's
the
okay.
The other pod was an R, and that would have sped up his bullets and really helped him
you really want to have spread plus R in these games, and then you can really maximize on the capabilities of the spread gun there. But he is to the boss nonetheless. Hasn't showed much sign of slowing down in this game. And he's coming up to games...
Except for the purple slime.
Except for when he dies, because I cursed him. My apologies go out to Rich. So commentators curse for that one. But he's still okay as we see Toad clearing out the boss here. KHANanaphone has entered into the auto-scroller portion. And he does have that nice weapon. Let's see if he can do a nice kill on the boss. Kind of like what Toad did.
Toad's done with his... Everyone in a very boring part of Super C. It's a pretty action-packed.
Yeah, that was like the least action-packed moment of this entire race. Oh man, as we see Rich taking a death, this is another very dangerous stage, of course. And
Yeah,
Another
expect
death for
a
Rich.
couple of these now, because once you
Yeah.
don't fill these mouths, they spit out all these things. It makes it impossible to kill more mouths because you don't have the thing that will actually kill them. And
Yeah, Rich getting punished. This is Toad's opportunity to catch up. Rich finally kind of getting out of that section. Well, almost. But he's going to have to start worrying about lives now. I think he must have done the Konami code, given that he has still this many lives showing after that was like 4 deaths in a row, I think.
at least the Konami code in this game, they are playing on the North American version. First of all, the Konami code, it's not actually the Konami code. It's some bastardization of it. It's like down, up, left, right, PA start or something.
Oh,
but
really?
It only gives you 10 lives as well. It doesn't give you 30. In the Japanese version, it gives you 30, but they only get 10. So it's entirely possible that Rich will find himself in a bit of a life crunch. He does have the fire now. He's kind of back on the groove, so I think he'll
he's
be
back
okay.
on track. He's back on track. Toad, meanwhile, having to use the pea shooter to take out this boss, no easy feat. Maybe slightly easier for him, but still, you can see he takes another death. That purple slime is powerful stuff. Rich having to do these. Some of these jumps are kind of tight. You got to be careful. And that, I think, is the tightest one, and he missed it.
Yeah,
So-
that's the one.
That is the one. So he is now stuck with that pea shooter. Thankfully, I don't think that the final boss here is too challenging. You can kind of just get up on it and mash.
Yeah.
But now we see Toad. He's been gaining that ground. If he can pick up a good weapon here and hang on to it, he's going to be not quite caught up, but he's going to be getting there.
Yeah. Look how different this section is when you can kill these mouths. They don't spit out those things, so you don't have to worry about them. Easy peasy.
Yeah, Rich looking good. He just gets right up on there. No need to fear anything. It's just kind of like, yeah.
Ooh, there was I think he was a little too far to the right. You want to position yourself such that that orange beam thing that he shoots out is a little too high. It goes over your head. And it's possible to get stuck in that knee, but in a way that still gets you hit by that thing. And it looked like it was coming right at him before the boss died. So good clutch kill from him. He's going to be moving on to Double Dragon 2.
Well done by Rich. And we can see him right away using the knees. That is not even necessary. But Rich just showing his dominance. He's like, I am going to do the 4-frame trick even though I don't need to. He could be using the uppercut. We're actually playing on the warrior difficulty since these guys are only going to be completing 5 stages, not the entire game. But nonetheless, he's going for the knee, which is the more powerful move, most powerful move in the game, as a matter of fact. Uppercut, you probably have about 6 to 8 frames. The knee, you have 4 frames. But wow, I didn't know that Rich was so good at this game. I haven't seen him play it before, but he's looking pretty strong so far. He might be building on his lead come the end of Double Dragon 2, because as we know, Toad, not one of his favorite games, Double Dragon 2.
Yeah, he said he was worried about it before the race. The knees, what is the window for the knee? It's not very big to get that.
It's 4 frames. Yeah, 4-frame window. If you can get into a rhythm, I mean, 4 frames is pretty generous for players of this caliber, especially because, you know, these guys play a lot of NES games. They're used to having 2 frames, sometimes even 1 frame, so 4 frames seems like an eternity to these guys. So first boss here, you're going to see Rich actually is going to take him off the side of the roof here. And the reason for that is because this guy actually, if you hit him with a couple knees, he'll despawn and then respawn. And that's a big waste of time. So right away, Rich getting him off the roof.
Yeah, he has experience throwing things off the roof.
Oh,
actually.
yes. Oh, yes. He has very much experience with that whole concept. So he's going to be on to the second stage here. Now, there is a death abuse he could take, but he's wisely going to avoid that. It's a 3-second time saver. And in a race this long, 3 seconds, probably not worth a life. Reason being, in this game, if you game over, you're starting over. So you might want to hang on to those lives if you can. He's getting pummeled a little bit there, and he does indeed take a death, so good thing he maintained that life count. As we see, Toad has now gotten into it. And you can see Toad using the uppercut there, taking advantage of not needing to, but he also is good with the knee, as you can see. No problem there.
KHANanaphone is stuck in a bad situation. He missed the various power-ups at the start of this section and had to pea shooter his way through those enemies. Very slow process. At least he can get through these eggs a little better than fire or machine gun. But yet he's got some ground to make up for. He's got those opportunities, like we talked about. He's definitely not out of it. But
not in the least. And he's picked up spread gun, so hopefully this will be enough to get him through this stage and kind of keep him on pace. He's just kind of got to hang around. He's got to make sure that he just kind of hangs around, and then gets those big time gainers that we're talking about. So we see Rich taking out the second stage boss there with a nice triple cyclone. He is going to be on to the chopper Toad. It looked a little easy when Rich did it, but kneeing this guy off the roof is not trivial, so let's make sure that he gets it. You can die if you mess up. This guy can grab you and knock you off the roof, but Toad doing his job, getting it done. He's into the second stage. Rich having a little trouble there in the beginning of the chopper. These enemies are particularly difficult, and as you can see, the chopper door opens and it actually kind of like sucks everyone out. You don't want to fall out of the chopper.
Nope.
That's not a good look.
One of the fun things about this game, well, fun, it's fun to do it to other people, but it's not fun when it happens to you. But there are various hazards in the game, rooftops and hangar doors and spikes and things, and you and the enemies are vulnerable to them, so it's fun to knock bosses out the window of a plane, or whatever this is. But
it is
gotta
the
watch
chopper.
Out for that yourself. The chopper.
Yeah, it is the chopper. You can actually cheat by pausing the game because the door is on a global timer. So if you pause the game for the right amount of time, the door will close and you will not be sucked out. But no need to do all those shenanigans. InfestedRiche has done a great job getting through that stage. He's on into stage 4. Toad, meanwhile, has maintained his life count. He has a little bit of a mistake there, though, and he's going to have to wait for this guy to come back up the ladder before he can take him out and move on. Rich heading into a little bit more of a difficult section. These guys are only playing 5 stages, so Rich has this stage and then one more stage to go. He's been cruising through Double Dragon 2 pretty well, though. I'm thinking that he's maintained his experience from whatever Big 20 this was in.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking about these players. I was thinking KHANanaphone's going to have the highest highs and the lowest lows. But the person who I think is going to be the most consistent, rather than Toad, most people would think, I think it's actually going to be InfestedRiche. Toad, simply because of the sheer number of projects Toad has taken on recently, I think that it's part of these games gets etched inside you, and you need to kind of dig them out for moments like this. And I think he's not going to be able to get to that full potential he has in a lot of these cases.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's just so much, and it's a lot to remember. It's even if the muscle memory is still there, sometimes you're just like, wait, what am I doing right here?
Yeah.
But we see that it looks like KHANanaphone has made his way through. So he's got the spread gun. He should be able to take out the final boss and move along and join our other players in Double Dragon 2 as Rich moves along to stage 5. He's got 2 lives, so he's in pretty good shape. This goal, it's pretty reasonable because we're not making them do the full game. If they had to do the full game, it's extremely easy to game over in a full game run of Double Dragon 2. So I think we kind of made up for Metroid by saying, okay, we're only going to do 5 stages of Double Dragon 2. We'll give you guys a little bit of a break.
Yeah, with no continues, it would become the most punishing game all of a sudden, just from extending the length of the game just a little bit.
Yeah, even if it was just on the Warrior difficulty, which is only 8 stages instead of the full 9, as we see Rich getting past the stage hazard there. Nicely done. There is platforming in this beat 'em up. People are probably thinking, what in the world? Why would they put platforming in a beat 'em up? That's just mean. But
yeah, not many platformers have A plus B input to jump.
Double Dragon 2, definitely a special game, but it's good to have at least one, beat 'em up represented here in our race, in our invitational race. It's cool to see kind of the diversity
of the NES and all the different games that were on it. I think it's good to have that representation.
Yeah, most definitely. So Rich coming kind of to the end of the level here. He's going to have to fight a few more big guys up here. He's going to have to cyclone these guys off or knee them off, but he has to avoid getting thrown off himself. So you can see he kind of backs off there. Those guys actually will throw you backwards. So even though he's on the side away from the edge right now, they could throw him over, but he manages to avoid that for the moment anyway.
I think horrible patterns from this guy. Keeps ducking the knees right when he wants it to land.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this game. There's a lot of enemy ducking your knee. The enemies can't duck the uppercut, by the way, but he's at a point now where it's like all these enemies have enough HP that you really gotta use the knee. So he's going to be coming up to the train, and there's just a slew of enemies that are going to come out. Meanwhile, we see Toad struggling a little bit at the bottom of stage 4 here. This is a difficult area, and we do see KHANanaphone knocking Burnoff off the roof. So,
oh, there's that backwards throw on Toad into the corner.
Wow.
Stands up with the uppercut. He has low on health, but he still goes for the intentional ceiling hit there.
Well, those ceiling hits don't actually deal much damage. I think they deal some very trivial amount that could add up to a full bar, but generally it just won't. So, and Rich about to be finished as he takes Arnold out with one more hit. That ought to do it. And he is going to be moving on to Punch Out. So as soon as the music is finished,
it's going to be Ninja Gaiden, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you're right. You are absolutely right. I got ahead of myself.
Ninja Gaiden.
How could I forget Ninja Gaiden? My
You're
Ninja
the guy.
license has been revoked.
You're one of the guys at least.
I revoked my own Ninja license.
Oh,
so yeah,
right.
Okay. InfestedRiche, he is a master of this game. There is no question. As you talked about earlier, he's a master of all the Ninja Gaiden games. And you got to figure that he's got a big edge on these guys, even though he's struggling a little bit here in the beginning. He is going to pick up the spin slash weapon, which he has, and the spin slash allows you to one-hit kill anything, whether it's a boss or just a normal enemy. The main thing Rich is going to have to avoid during this game is having any deaths, because the deaths can be pretty costly, and he might be kind of feeling the way that Toad was feeling during Super C, like I'm just going to go for everything because I'm so good at this game, but a couple spots I might want to take it easy.
Yeah, the all-out strats in this game, insane. It's one of those things where the competition has forced players to do crazier and crazier things, and now someone has managed to put it together, looking at you, Arcus, in such a way as that if you want the record, you need to be prepared to do some truly insane things that do not make any sort of sense for a race like this.
No, not at all. And now let's not forget that Rich has an extremely low time in this game. I believe he has an 11:52 or something ridiculous like that. So he is one of the best players in this game, which is highly, highly, highly competitive. Not many people have sub 12. He's one of them. And, it's not been that long since he was on the grind. So I think the first interesting thing for me is going to come up when he gets to Act 3. There's kind of a tricky jump that may seem trivial, but if he misses it, it's a 40-second time loss. I'm curious to see what he's going to do there, especially with this lead.
Yep, I'm pretty sure he knows. I think all the players are keeping tabs on each other, so that will kind of at least open the door for them to employ a bit of strategy, which I always like to see in events like this, adjusting what you do in your run based off of where you are in relation to your opponents.
Absolutely.
Adds another kind of strategy layer on top of things, and I think all the players are going to be taking advantage of that, so we'll see if that affects what Rich is going to go for here in Ninja Gaiden, because there's plenty to go for if you want to.
Oh, there absolutely is. And I talked to Toad about that very thing beforehand, and he said that, if he was getting behind, he was going to be a little more aggressive in certain spots. So he is definitely keeping an eye on things, and he knows that Rich is ahead right now. So he may be a little more aggressive in this game, trying to keep pace. Meanwhile, Rich moving along into Act 3. KHANanaphone quietly has moved along to Act 4, but is in a bit of a tricky situation because he's down to 1 life. And he's got 2 more stages to clear, and they are the 2 toughest stages for this particular goal. So hopefully he doesn't have anything too tragic happen in the end of this stage or in the next one.
I'm just picturing, just how does things look if KHANanaphone dies? I'm trying to do the math on the... That starts to look real bad, so this is actually an especially tense couple of stages here for him coming up in Double
Most
Track.
definitely. So Rich has finally made it into 3-2, and this is indeed the stage where he stands to lose the most time, because I believe that he is going to go for this damage boost at the end here. Something tells me that he's going to do it, and if he misses it, it's 40 seconds. So that's 40 seconds Toad could definitely use in his efforts to catch up on a game that he's actually not too bad at himself. I believe he may have a mid 12-minute time in this game, and Rich does go for it, and he gets it.
Whew.
No problem.
The damage boosts
Wow.
off the birds in any Ninja Gaiden game really are so insane. The movement of the birds is so... I mean, it's completely deterministic, but it's so precise that trying to engineer any sort of damage boost off of them is a...
You got to be careful with that one in particular, because, you know, he's running towards an edge, and you really have to be pretty far off the edge to get that boost. If you're even a few pixels too early, then you're going in the pit. And that's kind of how they design this game, is that they want you to fall in pits. That was the goal of the programmers and developers that came up with Ninja Gaiden. As you see Rich going for another boost that could have caused a costly death, and getting it, the bat boost. So Rich, completely unafraid, he is pulling out all the stops. Now remember, we're only going to Act 6. We're not going to beat Act 6. You got to take Moth out, and as soon as you see that you have done that, you're able to move along to Punch Out, the game that I thought we were going to be playing. And then I think, you know, that's where KHANanaphone has one of his first opportunities to catch up. He's got a big edge on these two in Punch Out, so he's got to keep it together here. He's looking like he's in pretty good shape to finish out Double Dragon 2, as we see Toad doing okay here. He's taken out the second boss in Ninja Gaiden. So everybody is kind of, I think, calmed down and settled into the race now. They're probably just in race mode, like, let's go kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. There was some, you know, in Metroid, I think I saw some names of racers popping up in chat, surfacing and interacting a little bit, whether mostly out of shame, I think. I think when Toad died to Mother Brain, he had just had to come in and be like, oh my god, I need to let everyone know exactly how I feel about that. But you're right. I think I'm starting to get the sense that they're hunkering down more, and I won't be surprised if we start to see some more focus.
Yeah, I think these guys are in the groove. KHANanaphone got to take out Arnold here, and he will be all set. Rich, another nice damage boost here. He has maintained his spin slash, so he's going to have an easy time with the boss. Toad, meanwhile, in 3-2, he is going to be coming up to that crazy damage boost. Now, is he going to go for it? It is a risk that I would certainly not take if I were him. Just to keep pace, you know, you're gaining maybe a second versus losing 40 seconds. To me, that risk reward does not add up. So we're about to find out what kind of math Toad has, though. Yeah, he's going to take it safe. Well played by him. He's in there, he's safe, and he's going to be able to take out the boss without much of a problem since he's got the fire wheel.
KHANanaphone into Ninja Gaiden here. This first stage, we saw Rich get tripped up a little bit, actually. KHANanaphone looking pretty good here. But ever since that first stage, Rich has been looking really solid on Ninja.
He's been on fire. He is coming up to a tricky part here, and he does do the bird boost. Is he going to play it safe and use the throwing star wisely? He does. Could have gone for another crazy damage boost there, but he's not that crazy. He's only going for certain crazy strats, not full-on crazy strats. So he's just got a couple more stages here. He's into 5-2, but this is where things do get a little bit more difficult. There are a couple screens where even a player of Rich's caliber could die, so he's going to have to be careful as he picks up Spin Slash. You do have to pick up Spin Slash each time you start a new act. It doesn't carry over. It carries over between stages, but not between acts. So meanwhile, looks like Toad, he's in pretty good shape. He's got his Spin Slash. Rich is going to be coming up to this room, though. That's a little bit on the dangerous side. Let's see how he handles it. He actually picks up the health. And he gets the clip.
Nice.
Past this final bird, he takes the boost even. So a little bit of swag there, taking that 3 damage off the bird. He's not worried about it. And he's just got to nail 5-3. And he's going to maintain a pretty strong lead here. I mean, Rich, he kind of got out. He got out ahead in Metroid there, as you noted, with that superior movement, and he just has not backed off since then. Yeah,
he is familiar with this kind of marathon race format just as much as Toad is. Well, no, maybe that's not true. Toad does have a couple extra big 20s under his belt. But this is not his first time to the rodeo, to be sure. And he is also just a really solid player all around. So I'm not too surprised to see him really find himself, get into his own, and just kind of take off here.
Oh, yeah. And he's had a great run of Ninja Gaiden. He's going to take out Malth in one spin slash here, and then he is going to be moving along to Punch Out. So really, really nicely done by Rich. Toad is doing a great job of keeping pace, though. He's taken out the Act 4 boss. He's on into Act 5, so he really didn't lose too much time to Rich here. Well, I shouldn't say that yet because there's still Act 5 to go, but up to this point, he's done well. Now we're going to see some punching. We're going to see some Mike... sorry.
No,
I almost said Mike Tyson's
not that.
Punch Out. This is not Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
This is the other one.
For shame, it is Punch Out featuring Mr. Dream. Oh goodness. Well, that we couldn't make a full game goal if you're going to be beating Mr. Dream. It has to be Mike Tyson.
Right. Exactly.
So
that is the sole reason why this goal is going to stop at Bald Bill. I'm pretty sure Bald Bill won the end of the... What is that circuit called?
That's the major circuit.
Major circuit.
Indeed.
Kind of where the game starts to get like really tough. Like when you first go in as a casual, like it's probably pretty weird and kind of difficult just for being new. But this difficulty really spikes after Bald Bull, so they're probably not going to have to worry about dying or anything. But so much time to be gained and lost in Punch Out if you know what you're doing.
Definitely, and we can see that Rich does know what he's doing. He applied a good buffer strat there to take out Glass Joe. And I must say that I haven't seen all the players using that buffer strat. I'm a little concerned about a particular player that might not use that buffer strat. And if you don't get that buffer strat on Glass Joe, you lose a pretty significant amount of time. I mean, we're talking a minute minimum. So that's something you got to be careful about. This game wasn't
happy to report that Toad has indeed practiced the buffer strats.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, we may be safe. Meanwhile, Toad doing a great job so far here, getting through Act 5. He has not died at all, which that's the name of the game in Ninja Gaiden. KHANanaphone, meanwhile, moving on to Act 4 himself, so he is still hanging around there. And we get an 8 count for Rich, who Rich looks like he's pretty prepared for Punch Out. Well, as soon as I say that, he gets punched in the face, but I think other than that, he's been doing okay. So he gets a decent enough fight against Von Kaiser. Meanwhile, Toad getting knocked around there a little bit by a Hammer Brother. Those guys can be really random and really scary.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, I think the reason it attracted so much speedrun attention was that it's not very random at all. I think it's kind of just the Hammer Brothers that are the one RNG troll in the game. Yeah,
the Hammer Brothers, and then the final set of bosses. Once you lose Spin Slash, then you can have a little bit of a problem. But outside of that, yeah. And thankfully, these guys are not having to do Act 6, which features the most and very dangerous Hammer Brothers in the game. So we see Rich doing a good job there. He's got some stars to use against Piston Honda, and he is not quite sure on his strategy. I think he's actually not... It looks like he's not doing the correct strategy. You can do more damage by punching and then throwing a star, but it looked like he was just dodging and then throwing a star. But either way, he gets a 1 count on Honda, which means anytime a boxer gets up on 1, guess what? You throw a star, they're going right back down. So he is in good shape there, and he gets a 2 count, which actually matters since we're doing real time. Getting the difference between getting a 2 count and 8 count is actually relevant in this race.
Yeah, the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out community, well, just the Punch-Out community, I guess, it's an in-game timer community, and I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. Sometimes it's just kind of that's the way it was, and that's the way it is now. Or I'm kind of curious, actually.
It's probably a discussion better had on another day, but I would say that I think that from a skill perspective, that real time is not going to be as accurate as game time. Game time is going to be the more accurate to display, who had a more skillful run for the most part. Even then, there's so many luck factors in this game that can change as well. But Rich has moved on. Let's see if he does the buffer strat. Looks like Toad did get that 42 that we were talking about earlier, so he has not cost himself the minute that I had seen him. I had seen him do that a couple times, and I was a little concerned. But Don Flamenco, another buffer strat that was found by none other than Zallard1. If Rich pulls this off, he'll have a very fast time.
Should we back up? I don't think we've talked about the nature of buffer strats.
You're right. You're right. We have not talked about the nature of buffer strats. He essentially is using a fixed input pattern there to ensure that he does a punch on the exact frame that he wants to do it. So you're able to buffer your punches in this game, meaning that, you know, when you're inactive, let's say you're already throwing a punch, you can already press the punch button again, and as soon as you're able to throw your next punch, it will come out. So you'll see that that is the tactic that's used in a couple of these fights. And now we're going to come to the king of randomness, King Hippo. This guy could actually make a pretty big difference. You can only punch him when he opens his mouth, and he only does that when he chooses to. So if Rich has some bad luck here, and Toad has some good luck, we could see a bit of a swing.
Meanwhile, we saw KHANanaphone swing into a pit here for the second time. Had it happened to him once before, he was looking really good, and it was kind of like one of those jumps that's not really one of the jumps. It was that one right there, actually. Just jumped too early, went straight into the pit, and now I'm hoping he's not rattled here because he followed that up with another death. But
yeah, he had a game over, but thankfully, again, not super punishing. You get to start just right back, where you wanted, Act 5. Meanwhile, Rich, he got a very favorable King Hippo there. He got a minute time, so he's going to be maintaining his lead here. We see Toad is going to have to hit this punch here. He hits a very nice counter on Honda. Rich, I'm interested to see what strategy he goes for against Great Tiger. It looks like he is trying to go for a fast strategy. I've been very impressed with Rich's punch-out game so far, I have to say.
Oh man, it is impossible for me to get those star gut punches. The half-second delay you have to throw in. There's no real solid visual cue for it. I don't know, something about it trips me up, but he's having no problems getting those stars.
He has done a perfect fight against Great Tiger. He is going to get a 48-second time here, which is as good as you can get realistically. And I'm interested to see now then what he's going to do on Bald Bull. I mean, he has really been just gaining more ground in this game. I wasn't expecting that, I've got to say.
Yeah, he's put the time in, man. Toad put his time elsewhere, and I guess time will tell what the right move was, but Rich has definitely put some time into Punch-Out.
As we see, KHANanaphone is in a bit of a trouble spot here. Can he get out alive? And he does manage to. He avoids that bird, but he's still got to get through 5-3 here on low health. So, coming to the end of Ninja Gaiden, I'm sure he will be so happy when he finally takes them all out.
He might be so happy that he jumps off the cliff. I saw him practicing the swag strat, actually loaded state with the timer ticking down, and was like, all right, I wait for 19 seconds and then I jump off the cliff. So he might do it.
It looks like the Don Flamenco buffer strat was not executed by Toad, so he's losing time. Meanwhile, Rich, a little bit of a slow phase 2 there on Bull, but he's still in great shape. So now you can see a 40-second time on Don versus what Rich got, which was a 15-second time. So yeah, Rich just building his lead, building it up. We got, Dr. Mario's coming up next. I have no idea what to expect from either of these guys in that, but KHANanaphone finally coming up to Malth. He unfortunately lost his spin slash there, but Malth, a pretty easy fight even if you only have just the sword.
Punch-Out is done for Rich. He is now officially on Dr. Mario. We're jumping straight to level 20. As you can see, 20 doesn't mess around at all. That pill bottle is completely filled. He has selected low difficulty. This means the pills have a longer animation, which you think would be bad for a speedrun, but the truth is, unless you're a really, really high-level Dr. Mario player, you're probably not going to be able to react in time to the faster pills on medium and high, because as you can see, they're so close to the top of the bottle. So low is going to be what he's going with, and once you get started, start chipping away at some of these higher viruses, things get a lot more manageable. So this is a great start for him, though he's got this red pill and nowhere to put it. This is a part of speedrunning Dr. Mario. Is obviously you want to put the pills in places, but like you want to be very careful about, because you have options basically. If you have a couple yellows here and a couple yellows there and you get a yellow, it can matter which one you put it on. You're trying to optimize the number of situations in which you have spaces for all the different pill combinations.
Yeah, it's a really tricky game, and as you mentioned, Rich kind of getting to clear out those early parts, so he's probably in good shape that he's not gonna, game over and have to start over or something like that, but it is gonna be tricky to get through it, and we see that Toad, again, falling behind on Punch-Out. He didn't have the good buffer strat, he didn't have a real good answer for King Hippo being as random as King Hippo is, and he didn't have the great Tiger strat. So KHANanaphone is actually probably going to gain a decent amount of ground during Punch-Out, and we see Rich has executed well so far in Dr. Mario. I think he's even gotten a few combos. He's set up some pieces to fall the correct color. So I like what he's doing here.
Yeah, the other thing you want to do is minimize the way the pieces, the excess pieces fall down after you make a match. So that yellow piece that just fell there fell a very short distance. When the pill bottle is so packed the way it is, it's not too much of a worry. But that is a sort of secondary concern of making sure through various ways that you don't have to wait for those excess pieces to fall, whether by just matching things in such a way as there are no extra pieces, or building a tower underneath to catch them. There's a lot of different techniques, but at this point, it's more about choosing the right spots for all these pills, such that you maximize your ability to always have a good place to put any pill that you get.
Yeah, this is a tricky game. I was never very good at this game. I really admire the guys that are all of my fellow Nintendo World Championships competitors that actually qualified are all like incredible at this game. They probably would all be done by now. But as you mentioned earlier at the outset, KHANanaphone very good at this game. So we may have the first opportunity to see him kind of playing catch up, and I think it's possible that he could actually surpass Toad in that time. What do you think?
I think so. Toad is on Bald Bull here. Haven't quite been paying attention to how things are going so far, but it does look pretty good. I'm sure he's going to be able to put him down in the first round. So KHANanaphone's not going to pass him in Punch-Out. But Dr. Mario, it's one level, but as you can see, the Rich is still here. It is quite long, especially if you're playing on low. And you can see a big couple of minutes difference between these two players. It will be really exciting to see what happens.
We got a bull charge here, and Toad nails it. So Toad's going to be done here. TKO. Bald Bull is down. He is going to be moving on to Dr. Mario. And meanwhile, KHANanaphone moving on to the major circuit. Hopefully he can make quick work of it and then get his Dr. Mario on and make some moves. But Rich, it's just cruise control, man.
He's looking so good. Hasn't really stumbled at all since, Metroid, I guess, if anything.
Yeah. I think he's just played really consistently throughout. I guess he said that his two weakest games were Metroid and Kirby's Adventure, and he's already got Metroid out of the way. So, if he's able to get through Kirby next and still be in good shape, he's got to be feeling real great about his chances of taking this thing down. As we see, KHANanaphone has indeed hit the buffer strat. Toad, in the beginning stages of Dr. Mario, things can get pretty crowded up there, as you can see.
Yeah, he has also elected to play on low. you need to be at a kind of a different level in order to survive this on the higher difficulties. And it's the kind of thing where because it's random. In a speedrun, you can memorize, I jump here, I attack here, but that doesn't really apply at all in Dr. Mario's or any other puzzle game. So you just have to develop this weird sense with the game on what to do with these things. You need to kind of burn it into your hands and your brain, and it just takes time, way more time than these guys had to prepare. So they're doing the best they can, and I think they're actually doing the limited time they had.
Oh yeah, no question about it. These guys are doing great. So we're on to our next game here. We can see that Rich has already picked up the tornado, which is probably what he would like to keep mostly throughout. I mean, is that your assessment of how these guys are going to do things in Kirby?
Yeah, for the first two worlds, you're going to be pretty much spin to win through the whole thing. And then after that, you start to see a bit of variance, mostly to pick up the hammer for a couple of parts. And then that's the end of the goal. We're only doing the first three worlds. This is a big game. Came out in '93. Super Nintendo, I believe, launched in 1990. So super late release title. I think it's like second last or something. Well, there's a bunch of obscure games, but I'm thinking mostly Wario Woods in '94, Kirby '93. So it has a ton of elements to it. There's all the different power-ups, a ton of different levels. Graphically, it's really complex, kind of against its own good. This game lags like crazy all over the place. It is really clumsy for a speedrun. Combined with Kirby's awkward controls, there's like a double tap to dash mechanic. There's a slide, but you only really want it off of ledges to preserve the initial burst of speed you get. It's up to go indoors, but it's also up to fly. So if you see guys near doors flying around helplessly, it's because they were a little early on their up input. Flying is really slow. There's an animation where you puff out your air before you can get back to walking speed or use your attacks. There's a lot of animation wind up and cooldown with this tornado that makes it really hard to use, and then you add in the lag on top of it, and suddenly your inputs get eaten. Very, very, very difficult game to really go truly fast. You're going to be seeing a sort of hybrid version of Kirby speedrunning from these guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially for Rich, because, he's got a pretty sizable lead at this point. He doesn't need to do anything crazy. He doesn't need to get fancy here in Kirby's Adventure. Just make it through, don't have anything too terrible happen, and he's going to be on to games that he's a little more comfortable with. So we see KHANanaphone is going to be wrapping up Punch-Out here. He's going to take out Bald Bull, and he'll actually be in the same game as Toad. But Toad looks like he's been making pretty good work of Dr. Mario. I mean, hasn't run into too many problems so far. So, I don't know that KHANanaphone's going to be able to catch up that quickly. It's going to be interesting to see.
You might be surprised. I think you're right. I think KHANanaphone's not going to be ahead after this, but I think it's going to be really surprising just how close he is. Though I do want to mention there is something working against KHANanaphone. Most of his experience is with the Super Nintendo version, and there's some tiny little differences between which way pills rotate in certain situations. So it's entirely possible he will expect something to happen one way and just do the inputs, and it happens another way. And in that sense, he has a bit of a disadvantage, but overall, I think we're going to see a much faster time for sure.
Well, he went with medium speed here, and let's see how he clears up things at the beginning.
Look how much faster it is.
Yeah, you can see he's very comfortable with the gameplay, and I think once he gets this initial stuff cleared out, things are going to be going pretty quick. And we see Rich is up to the first boss here. Nicely done.
Still has this tornado. The idea is to keep the tornado. If you get hit, your power-up goes flying, and there's a good chance you can chase it down and get it back again. Not always the case. Sometimes it falls in a pit. Sometimes enemies prevent you from getting to it or whatever. So you're going to see these guys play it really safe to preserve their tornado because completely different set of abilities available to you when you don't have the tornado and when you have a very limited time to practice. There's no way you're going to prepare for all the various backup strats that are actually available to you in this game. So it's kind of tornado or bust for these guys. They really don't want to have to improvise.
Yeah, not a good situation to be in trying to improv in a game that you're not really familiar with. Rich has done a great job holding on to the tornado. This is, again, another shorter goal. It's not one of our beat the game goals, so these guys are probably okay with the length of it, but still difficult to be sure. And you can already see look at his board. Like he's
almost
been playing this game for like a minute. Like, what is going on here? Really good stuff from him. So hopefully he's going to be able to do some catch up here. It looked like he was just a little bit rusty in Punch Out. You know, he has a very good time, and he got it like 3 years ago. And I'm thinking he maybe just hasn't played the game a ton since then. And 3 years will put a lot of rust on you.
Yeah. And Punch Out's not a good game to be rusty on because it's so memorization based, right? Like
absolutely, yeah. You gotta know what's coming and
come back
and have the backup strats and all of that. And I mean, he did a good job in some of the fights, to be sure. I'm sure he did definitely pick up some time on Toad, but the way that Rich performed in that game, I don't know if he caught up a whole lot on Rich.
Yeah, I can't imagine he made up much time, if any, on the way Rich played Punch Out there. Pretty much flawless in most of the fights.
So it's going to be interesting to see, because KHANanaphone also not a huge Kirby player either.
Nope, I haven't noticed, but it was about 2 days ago that he first fired up the game. Doing his best, but like Rich and like Toad, he is going to be playing it really safe with the tornado. There are basically the way the tornado works is it has such a long duration to it that you basically plan out on the screen. I'm going to use the tornado twice. It doesn't have to be exactly here or exactly there, but you kind of count the number of tornadoes. But I think these guys are actually going to be adjusting the number of times they use the tornado in a couple of screens, just so that they don't have to push the tornado to the very edge of its limits. It has a lot of active frames spinning down, but it's really risky. Basically, you don't want to send a partially vulnerable Kirby right at an enemy. So it's really tempting to hold off, and then you find yourself further back in the stage. You're going to use the tornado again, and then you get to the door and you're stuck in a tornado for a while. Going to be a lot of rough edges like that from these guys, and it's all in an effort to preserve this precious tornado power-up.
Well, we should mention that Toad actually was unable to get the tornado. He was working with the sword for a little bit there. He's now got the spark. Getting the tornado is a pretty precise trick. You can set it up early, but you only have a few frames to really execute on it. I guess I didn't quite see, but he must have missed out on that somehow.
It's possible to respawn those enemies and try again, but I guess I feel like he's the kind of player who would have done that, who would have backed up, tried again, get the thing going maybe, rather than improv. But
maybe we missed
he's
a
going
critical
back.
moment.
He's going back for it.
Okay, he is going to go back. Here we go. So yeah, you really need that tornado. Meanwhile, Rich doing a good job over here.
He's got his tornado back.
And he is through.
KHANanaphone has his as well.
Okay.
Toad, don't be confused. KHANanaphone did not pass Toad. Toad is a couple levels on his belt. He's just back here for the power-up, and he kills that laser Waddle Dee looking thing. But here he goes. Gets them.
There it is. Tornado. It's tornado time. All right. Toad feeling good. He exits the stage. He's ready to move on. KHANanaphone did pick up a significant amount of time there, though. He had it only took him 4.5 minutes to take down Dr. Mario, where it took about 6.5 for our friend Toad. So picking up 2 minutes is nothing trivial at this point.
That's a lot of time for just a game. So I thought he had the tornado, but clearly he does not anymore.
Yeah, it
Getting
looks like
ball.
he might have messed something up there. I kind of lost track of what was going on. Looks
You
like
might
he's
be
trying
wondering,
to...
like, well, I mean, just go. Like, look at all this time you're wasting. Just go. But the truth is, with such limited
There we
practice
go.
time, you're going to lose so much time just flailing around trying to make up strats on the fly.
Right, so he's good now. He's got Tornado back. You know, I didn't see if Rich went for the clip, but I'm pretty sure that Toad is going to go for the... I believe it's a frame-perfect clip. You can kind of get into the wall and save about 30 seconds. I want to say it's... I can't remember which stage it's in, actually.
2-3, I believe.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. So he's got that coming up in a little bit. Maybe that's an opportunity for him to kind of gain some ground back on Rich if he didn't indeed go for it. Did you happen to catch if Rich did that strategy?
No, but when I saw him practicing, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did skip it.
Okay. Well, Rich just steady as a rock, man. He's just
That's
moving
him.
on through.
He was. I was watching him play this, and he was like concerned about it. But when I was watching him practice, he never lost that tornado. And pretty much every run he did was getting a little better than the one he did before. He's done with the second world here. Only one left in the goal.
Yeah.
Real strong.
So we have our next game coming up is Mega Man 2. Now this is undoubtedly a Toad game for sure, but
Yes.
I don't think Rich is bad either. You know, I think that he's been practicing, and he should be able to put on a good show in Mega Man 2 as well. But quite a dangerous game.
Mm-hmm.
Potential for soft lock, potential for death in a lot of places. A lot of things can go wrong in Mega Man 2.
Yeah. Wily 4, pleasantly nicknamed Purple Hell for good reason. So many things can go wrong in Mega Man 2, especially because I think these guys are going to be zips, and when you start doing things the game didn't plan, getting inside walls and things, no surprise there can be some really nasty consequences.
No question about it. So we're not quite there yet, but we will be soon. In the meantime, we're just seeing if these guys can make it through Kirby. None of them were probably super excited to see this game on the list, but it is a great game. You know, it came out late in the NES life cycle, which is why, as you mentioned, there's so much lag and everything because they're just trying to cram like all these graphics and cool stuff into it, which they did a great job with that. And there's a glitch in this game called the UFO glitch, which I believe is not allowed. And it looks like, did Toad just get out of bounds there? And then come back inbounds?
Yep, this is the clip.
Okay,
And
he's
so-
got...
Yeah, solid
All right.
execution there.
There we
it's
go.
Not uncommon to have to do that a couple times. I was worried because I saw Rich lose his tornado power up, but I think he plans to switch to ice here anyway as part of his route, and he's going to be looking for high jump in just a little bit, and from there he's going to transition to the hammer for the rest of the goal. So he's actually doing still pretty okay, out in front by a couple minutes at this point. I saw him actually despawn the high jump guy here that he wants, but looks like he's there this time. Oh, he swallowed his old power-up and the high jump guy at the same time, so he gets his ice power-up back.
Oh, wow.
Gonna have to improvise. Loses it, doesn't care, keep going.
That's what we talked about earlier. You said they do not want to be in a situation where they have to improvise, yet here Rich is. So how's he going to handle it? This could be a big turning point in the race for him. He's been so steady, but this is when things can kind of start to cascade and just come off the rails if you don't keep your
Thankfully,
composure.
the sword guy is here pretty early on. Sword's pretty solid. It should last him up to the hammer that's coming up real soon. So a pretty scary situation avoided just by the timing of the way it happened to him. Tornadoes still both in hand for KHANanaphone and Toad, who are doing their best here, and I think this is the end of World 1 they're in. Maybe the start of 2. One extra tornado there for KHANanaphone. He's stuck, unable to go through the door. So many active frames on that tornado. Boss fight here really sucks for Rich. You don't have a power-up that can really hit everything, so you need to kind of go power-upless and do the old classic Game Boy Kirby spit enemies at other enemies thing. And that's really clunky in this game. In order to vacuum someone up in your mouth, you can't be flying because you need to blow air out and then you blow air in. It's just physics, I guess. But
that's how it works.
It means that you, if you jump up and you're not high enough to reach something, you can't fly up and then vacuum it in. You're just gonna be really sad that way. So it makes it really awkward in that boss fight as things are spawning up and down, left and right. So Rich doing a pretty good job of managing that sort of mini boss fight. He's caught flying a little bit here. To take these enemies out, lag management a big part of running Kirby. They packed so much into the game, like we said, it lags a lot, and you can do your share to kill enemies, get sprites off the screen, reduce that lag.
Yeah, and these guys not playing at the very highest levels, but they're still, they still know enough about strategy that they are going to implement everything that they can within reason to kind of do those things, reducing the lag and everything else like that. So Rich looks like he's getting close to the end here, isn't he?
Yeah, there's not a lot of World 3 left. He's got the hammer in hand, one of my favorite power-ups in this game, just because it's cute to watch him waddle around with the hammer.
There is the cuteness factor, there's no question about it when it comes to this game.
So after Kirby, not a whole lot left. Mega Man 2, then we're into the Marios and the Zelda finale. Mega Man 2 is going to be a big switch away from Kirby. Kirby's very slow, very floaty. Mega Man 2 is very tight controls, and hopefully he's going to be able to make that switch cleanly.
Yeah, that's what amazes me about these players, is just how fluidly they can switch in between games with just, no time, literally no downtime in between. It's just like, you're done with this game, boom, you're playing the next game. And, even with the experience, it's just always incredible to see how these guys do it.
KHANanaphone getting the clip on the first try. So happy about it, had to go and chat and hype it up himself. Hammer still out for Rich. He is really close to the end of this goal. Just a boss fight here. This boss fight is cake with the hammer. The real reason we're not doing the rest of Kirby is that he is going to destroy the sun and the moon entirely. Just a huge apocalyptic explosion that ends everything. So goodbye, Dream World. Hello,
see ya.
Hello, 20XDX, whatever town Mega Man's in.
Now we are playing on normal difficulty, so these guys are going to have a little bit of an easier time with the bosses. I believe we're going to be seeing the same route from some of the players, but there could be a slight deviation. Everybody's going to go with Flashman first, no question about that. You got to get through the Flashman stage, and then it's going to be either heat or air, depending on how risky we want to get with it. And seeing that Toad is behind, you can bet he is going to go for fast air. I'm telling you right now.
He probably is comfortable enough with that strategy to bust it out, regardless of the context of the race. So I think you're especially right in this situation. I do just want to point out KHANanaphone managed to regain his tornado power-up, but then he spat it out at the boss. So it's gone. He's tornado-less for a little bit. Gonna see him maybe scramble reached at the end of World 2 here.
And we see Rich coming up to the boss fight. Flashman. Most of these boss fights in this game are relatively trivial. I mean, there's a couple where things can go kind of wrong, but the biggest piece in this game is, you know, setting up the zips correctly, setting them up quickly, executing on them, and, you know, not having anything too crazy happen. So we can see Rich, very nice kill there on Flashman. Got him before he got to the wall.
Yeah, Flashman on normal difficulty, not a big deal. Actually, a huge deal once you double his health on difficult mode. The strats, because as you can see, you barely get him down before he touches you. If he's got more health, he's not dead. You need to jump over him at some point, and then you need to keep putting distance between you as you do these turnaround shots at him. It becomes a much more complex fight that these guys don't have to worry about. Thank goodness. They do have to worry about these really long item get cutscenes. In the North American version, Dr. Light has a lot to tell you about weapons.
He does. Where's he going? Where's he going? Are we going heat or are we going air? I can't wait to see it, man. Oh, baby, we're going air.
All right, so this is
about to get interesting.
Well, this is the safer strategy. I think Toad is going to be fixing to make up.
Yeah, Toad's going to make up ground because of this. So Rich probably just not real comfortable with doing the fast air strategies, and I would say it's probably about a good 10-second difference, which may not seem like a ton, but don't forget that this is Toad's game also. So on top of that 10 seconds, he's probably going to be gaining time just on general execution stuff as well.
Yeah, Toad. There's a ton of Mega Man runners out there, as I've recently found out, being a part of the 46 Robot Masters tournament. And there's a lot of Mega Man 2 runners. Very competitive game. Oh, nice super jump there from Rich at the end of that.
Well done.
Cloud platform section there. That's a small optimization you can do when you're not doing fast air, but it is risky. He goes for it and nails it. But Toad has a really competitive time in this game. Not absolute top tier, but like the next tier under, I guess, is
27. I mean, there's just I don't think there's more than like 15 people with a 27, and there's a lot of people that play this game. So
yeah, the leaderboards on Joka's site. I think there's well over 100 entries on that leaderboard for Mega Man 2.
Right. Yeah, so to be in the top 15 or maybe even top 10, I'm not sure exactly where his time falls, but it's in a good spot. Rich getting ready to take on Airman here. Let's see if he gets a favorable pattern. Maybe he can get a 2-cycle. If he gets lucky, that would be a nice little potential time gain for him, especially since he did not do fast air.
5 different patterns you can get from Airman. That second one is one that last one is one you don't, but at that point, you're already kind of in the middle of the stage. You're taking hits from the tornadoes to kind of cancel the blowback. And so, well-timed, gets a fairly solid fight there. Though I do just want to back up. Chat's talking a little bit about playing on difficulty, difficult mode, easy mode.
Well, here's the thing. It's all about...
Yeah, okay. I want to hear.
Well, let me just say real quickly. Well, okay, easy versus difficult mode, I guess, is one question. But the reason that we're not playing on the faster version or the Japanese version is because that's not the version that comes on the NES Classic Edition. So we have to keep that in mind. These are all going to be the US versions, as it were. But I'm sorry, I guess you were going to maybe make some other comparisons as well.
Yeah, well, just yes, it is more challenging to play on the higher difficulty, but the nature of speedrunning is that you're always just can. So you're just placing a slightly different set of limitations. There's still it's as long as everyone's playing the actual same difficulty, the challenge of going as fast as possible, every bit as valid on normal as it is on difficult. That is.
Oh wow, nice strat there by Rich using the item 3 to good effect. He is going to perform the first zip coming up here. He's going to use this item 3 to get himself into the ceiling, and he actually falls down.
Riskier setup, yeah. It's really hard to get that placement from the.
Yeah.
He does have
so
enough
now,
energy to go again. Misses the
and he
8
didn't
trigger.
get it.
Does he have another? He's up there. He misses
Oh,
the trigger
wow.
again.
Oh, wow. This is a huge loss for Rich. What does he even do here?
Weapon drop. Has a chance.
Wow. I don't know
Nope,
if that's going to be
not going
enough,
for it.
though. Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
think
think
so.
that's enough to get back up there. And so what ended up happening is once you get stuck in the wall where he was, you have to jump and then press left in a 4-frame window, I want to say.
Yep, that's right.
And he just wasn't, I guess he just wasn't getting it. So this is a really big deal. This is a massive time loss. And we now see Toad is going to be finishing up Kirby. So he's making his way into Mega Man 2. He has that opportunity again. The next game, it could be the one that pulls him back into the lead. Is it going to happen?
It's been a while since we've seen our lead change. It's kind of exciting early on, but then Mr. Consistency, InfestedRiche, got out in front. But I think you're right. I think it's looking more and more like we're going to have ourselves another lead change.
Oh, yeah.
KHANanaphone also still in it. It's pretty far through Kirby. He's got the UFO power-up. This is a strategy that you switch to this for a little bit. You can mix it, but it's pretty far along through the list of power-ups, so it's a little trickier to manipulate. He takes a death there. Actually, it's pretty rare to just lose all your... Well, no, that's not fair. I think it's actually pretty common for a newer runner to actually lose their health and die in a Kirby game. So he is going to be switching with the high jump now.
And we have InfestedRiche taking on Heatman. He's got to be careful not to take any damage because he will die. And so far, so good. He needs one more hit. He's got it. Meanwhile, Toad on his way. He is into Flashman. And he's going to start gaining ground probably as soon as he gets into the next stage, which he's going to do Heat second, as we mentioned earlier. No question about that.
It'll be nice to see him do the Heatman fight as fast as possible. We saw Rich having to play it pretty safe there because he was low on life, but Heatman is only vulnerable after he does his and he'll do that basically to wherever you're standing. So if you're closer, he'll do it shorter and become vulnerable more quickly. But standing next to him when he does it is really dangerous because it comes out so fast. It does a ton of damage, and it's random when he does it. There's 30, 60, or 90 frames that he will pause before he does it. And so what a lot of players do is they stand right next to him and they buffer jumps out at around those 30, 60, 90 frame intervals. And if they see him start to charge, then they use that to react and keep jumping away from him. Otherwise, they retreat right back next to him and get ready for the next interval. So you get this nice heat dance where you're kind of hopping away and returning, and it looks really well. It looks really good when well executed, and I'm hopefully Toad will show it off for us. Sure enough, he is.
He is going to Heatman. So I would say that Rich had a little bit of a struggle there setting up that Crashman zip, but did recover nicely. He was able to pull it off. That is a death zip, so the reason that the players are going to be dying is because it will actually spawn them further along in the level, and he is now into the crash climb, as they sometimes call it. This climb is incredibly difficult. Looks like Rich handling it very, very well so far. He's got himself in a little bit of trouble here. He's probably going to take a hit from these birds and have to work his way back up, but he's doing okay. I think he's kind of gotten himself back together, and he is maintaining his lead for the moment, shall we say.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can use these item threes. You can use them to catch yourself after getting hit by the bird, or you can just plant them to ascend the ladder as quickly as possible and just get there before the bird's even a problem, but that's really hard to do. Placing an item 3 on a ladder and then jumping off the ladder and landing on said item 3, really precise maneuver. I think it's pretty much pixel perfect I think there's one every 8 pixels. There's one that'll work, so you need to be really precise in order to make that happen. And if you screw it up, you're going to drop off the ladder and not land on the item 3. That's going to hurt you, depending on how quickly you react to re-grab the ladder. So a lot of players only throw those in at the tops of screens, because if you can grab ladders off screen, you get a small vertical zip, and in that time you can plant an item 3 and land on top of it, so it kind of counts for double. And meanwhile, he has a really solid Quickman, or not, he's going into Quickman, Crashman, dead to the air shooter very quickly.
All right, let's see what Rich wants to do here. He's got some options. Number one, is he going to get the 1-up? He already got the 1-up in Heatman stage. He is going to go ahead and take that precaution. That doesn't cost a ton of time. It's like a second, maybe 2. And he's going to have to set up a zip here and then decide whether he's going to go in the dark. Although he switched back to Buster, so I'm a little confused here. Is he just not going to go for this zip?
I think so. This zip it's weird. If you have lights off, it makes the end of the stage really awkward. If you turn the lights on, you can see the background, but it doesn't match up with where the platforms actually are until halfway through the quick beam section. And so when you're learning a game with a limited time and you take a look at what the heck is going on this screen, it's really tempting to just say, nope, not going to bother with it.
Okay, so he is going to indeed skip that zip. I can understand skipping the second zip, but skipping the first one is a bit surprising. Meanwhile, we see that Toad has made his way into Airman stage. He is coming up to that very dangerous part that we mentioned, sometimes called Fast Air. He's probably going to be doing a safer version of Fast Air, where he's going to take a bunch of damage boosts, but there is still the possibility of dying, and this is a massive death that you cannot afford to take. So here we go. Can he get clear?
It's really hard to place these item ones far enough apart, but also low enough that they're still on screen, but he does it. He is across. People like to call that granny air, when you take damage boosts off every single one of those
granny air.
Those lightning lords.
Still gaining time though, man. He's still gaining time for that. Maybe not the full 10 seconds that I was talking about, but I'll bet you he gained at least 7. Meanwhile, Rich having a bit of a troublesome pattern with Quickman, but handles it very well for somebody that doesn't have a ton of experience in the game. Well played by Rich. So, you know, even though he's using these less than optimal strats, shall we say, he's doing okay. Toad, meanwhile, in a bit of a trouble spot there. He's down on health tremendously.
It's pretty common to want to skip health drops on your way to Airman because of all these enemies, but that is not true for him. When you have this much health, I can't imagine having an air fight where you don't get hit.
Yeah, he was looking to farm, and then I think he just realized, he's like, yeah, I gotta take a death here. Now, when he does this though, he has to be careful because of the route that he takes. He does not get the 1-up, the free 1-up in Heatman, and he does indeed take the death there. He doesn't get that, so he's gonna have to get the Quickman 1-up because there's 2 death zips that he's gonna perform, and he would not have enough lives to do both of those. So meanwhile, we saw Rich get the Metal Man zip there, so he's well on his way. And we have KHANanaphone now in Mega Man 2 as well. So he's sticking around. He's sticking around. You guys keep thinking that he's out of it, but I'm telling you, when it comes down to Zelda, you're going to see him gaining some ground on these guys.
It's going to be
maybe
really,
before.
Maybe, but it's going to be impressive with Zelda. You'd be surprised at just how much experience plays a factor. You have to do a lot of thinking on the fly, managing counts and stuff. But we'll get into that when we start talking about Zelda. We see Metal Man is down for Rich. Fun little strat there. If you have Boomerang equipped and you hold B when you go into the room, Quick Boomerang actually auto fires when you hold the button. And Metal Man's AI is programmed to actually start doing things when you press the B button. So if you're just holding it when you go in, he doesn't do anything. So as long as you don't cross the halfway point, that's another trigger for him. Hold that button down. He doesn't do anything. He just stands there. You hit him with the boomerangs, and he's toast.
Oh wow, Toad was going for Biggie and didn't happen for him. He's really going all out, like he said. Rich, meanwhile, going for the item 2 strat here in Bubble Man, and he is through. That's an important part to get through. You can take a death there pretty easily, especially for someone that's not quite as experienced, but he manages it. And let's see if he's going to attempt this Bubble Man zip. I don't see him getting his item 1 on here, so
there it is.
There he goes.
Almost gets the impossible jump. The not so impossible jump. Placement looks good.
looks good. Just don't trigger. Excuse me. Don't trigger it too early. He doesn't. You trigger it too early, you can die there. So.
Yeah, it looked like he actually A-triggered it there. You can B-trigger it, and if you do, you need to be careful because you'll hit the spikes. Or you can wait till you get all the way to the top and A-trigger it. There's actually a pretty interesting divide in the Mega Man community between Team A-trigger and Team B-trigger. So InfestedRiche has made his allegiance known.
He has made his allegiance. I am Team B-trigger for the record. I don't know which team you're on, but
I'm an A-trigger guy.
You're an A-trigger kind of guy. Well,
so
hey,
we can't be friends now.
No hard feelings, man. You know, there's a right choice and a wrong choice, and it's okay. But anyway, we see Rich making his way into Bubble Man. Now, I just have to mention this because I saw this the other day. So Toad, he did a crazy glitch where he actually, you know, it's a double KO where you die against the spikes and kill Bubble Man at the same time. But he performed it in such a way that he actually died as well. But then when he came back, he was invincible, and no enemy could hit him. It was really interesting. So I don't know if Toad's gonna go for the double kill now. I'm kind of interested to see, like, is he gonna do it? But anyway, we have Rich moving on to wood. He needs that good wood right about now, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he's knowledgeable enough with the zips that he's gonna go for it. I learned in Mega Man 2 for the first Big 20, and I was looking at some of these vertical zips, and like they're moving around in the walls and in weird ways. They're clearly jumping around on platforms that are not where they appear, and it was very daunting. So I did put off learning that. Before that, we're going to see how he gets through these dogs. He's going to go for what I am trying to get the nickname for the catch on. He's got to get it. It looks pretty good.
He got it. Well, you can do another mini zip under this dog. If you feel like you're not going to get it, you can just do a double hop there, and you can zip through the dog as well. But he didn't even need to. He cleared it with precision. He's got item 1 equipped, and he is indeed going to go for
good wood.
He's got it. He's off to a good start.
I just have to cut in. People call that the 3-dog flash, but I think it should be called 3-dog light. That's just me. Oh gosh, we have a death here.
No.
In the middle of good wood. This wood is not good. I don't know what his extra life situation is.
Well, his extra life situation is great.
He did get try this.
He got the heat and the quick 1-up, and that was actually a pretty quick death into the zip. So, still going to be losing some time. Toad making that ground up slowly but surely, and you can see Toad going for the dark zip. He has no fear whatsoever. But he did not get into the ceiling, so he's actually going to miss it. That's probably for the best. You don't want a soft block there. It's just so dangerous. So dangerous. But Rich looks like he's in better shape here this time around. He's got heat equipped. He's going to need to get up this ladder and just hit A at the right time, and boom! He is into the into the Woodman fight right here. Great job getting that good wood done the second time around. And he's going to be headed to the Wily stages after this, I believe.
Yep, this is his last Robot Master. KHANanaphone getting the heat zip with the nice, comfortable item 2 ride that you get to take when you do heat 3rd. And Toad is done with Quick Man in the dark. Pretty challenging fight because the floor is uneven, but he gets it done as well, moving on to metal.
Yeah, so metal, we're going to see, again, the biggest zip in the game, or the longest zip in the game, I would say, for sure. Toad missing the setup on that first try there, but he's going to get it on the second go-around. There's another mini zip you can do in this stage. Saves about half a second. I'm not sure if he's going to go for that, but...
It's really hard. I've seen really good players not bother with.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's just not worth it. I actually go for it, but
he's got it.
I don't know. He got it, and so he gains that half second. Well done by Toad. Meanwhile, Rich, Wily won. This stage can be a nightmare.
Yeah, Wily stages really step it up, and you need to be so careful with your item usage. Refilled the way it does in the Robot Master stages, so he's pretty much out of item 2 here.
Yeah, so that means he's going to be doing the hardcore strat in Wily 2. Not having access to that item too, so he's going to go for the vertical zip here. Got to set this thing up right. You have to space out these next... Oh no, he's not going to go for it. Excuse me. So he may be playing it safe. He may be skipping both vertical zips in Wily 1, which makes it significantly less scary. but also means that Toad can probably pick up a good 10 seconds plus on him in this stage.
We'll see what he decides to do with this next screen with the item ones. It's possible to do it in 3.
Yeah, he could do the
see
4
if he
item
can get
zip
it.
as well, but it looks like he's just going to skip it all together. That's probably a good idea. If I was in Rich's position, I think I would probably do the same thing. You know, even if you can perform that zip, it's probably just not worth it when you have this much of a lead. You can see that Toad's just, you know, he's coming though. He's coming.
Absolutely.
He
He's
needs
already in
the
Woodman
good wood as
stage.
well. Is he going to do the dog zips? That would just be insane. I don't know if he's actually somebody that could do those.
He's got the
Dog.
flash topper out, so it looks
Okay,
like
yeah, he's
no,
not.
but
He's
that
taking
would
a
have been
pass.
awesome.
So Rich, actually coming up to a very dangerous part here. You can die on the dragon, and it's an incredibly costly death. But he manages to just go up top and say, "Let me just not take any risks. Let's just take it nice and easy." We can see that Toad is getting ready to set up his Goodwood zip here, as Rich
Well,
heads into
KHANanaphone
Wily
does
2.
a crash climb. Lots going on here. Riding that item 3 to the top of the screen to grab the ladder off screen, so he zips up onto that item 3, gets to jump off of that. Toad getting to the scary part of Goodwood here, grabs the ladder, needs to extend the zip. This pause is pretty late, but he's going to mash out a couple and just grab that ladder.
Just gets on there. Meanwhile, Rich in a dangerous spot here. He's got to get to the very edge of that item 1, and he does so. Nice job. Make sure you grab this ladder. Good pause by Rich. And he is through the scary, scary zip in Wily 2. He's got to be feeling pretty good going into the rest of Wily 2 and Wily 3. Nothing too scary until Purple Hell.
Yeah, that's the breather that he's earned for himself. After that,
he can breathe for a little bit, but then then your heart's gonna stop when you get into Wily 4. Bad things happen in that place.
Did not fire the leaf shield early enough to get these weapon drops to spawn inside the floor, so he's going to stop and pick all of them up. Eats up a couple seconds. Not too big a deal.
Yeah, not too much to worry about. Bubble Man is going to be the final robot master for Toad. You don't necessarily have to do them in the same order when it comes down to those last 2. I think some people kind of like to do Bubble last, and some people like to do Wood last. It's just a personal preference kind of thing, I guess. But we can see that Toad is going to be going for the item 2 zip later in this stage. That's why he's not using item 2 right now. It's a 2-pixel trick, and it's a pretty tough one, but if he gets it, very significant time savings are there. So it'll be interesting to see. He's going to have to get this item 1 zip first, though.
Yeah, well, not only is it tough, but you can just straight up die on the spikes if you screw it up.
You can. That's another problem. But Toad, as he mentioned, he said, listen, if I'm behind, I'm going all in. He's not going to mess around. So looks like he's got a good setup for this zip here. Is he team A trigger or B trigger? Looks like he's an A trigger kind of guy.
A trigger. KHANanaphone going for the quick man zip here.
Nicely done by KHANanaphone. He did not turn the lights back on though.
So he's going in the dark.
Oh boy.
I'm sure he's not going to be doing.
If he does that dark zip, I might have a heart attack. All right, Toad misses his first go. Toad misses his first go with this zip. Now, you can only try it so many times before you run out of item 2 to get over. And he gets it on the third try. That should be just enough. He should be able to get over.
Oh,
he looks like
he
okay.
backed off there.
That's okay. I think he's still netting a time gain with all these shenanigans. Even with that energy get, he's probably still netting like 1 or 2 seconds.
A couple mistries there, and the energy. I think maybe it all comes out in the wash a little bit, but he does show it off. So in that sense, it is absolutely.
Okay, and we see KHANanaphone picking up a 1-up there. That actually could come in handy later for him, and he is not going to go for that dark zip, as we mentioned. A very good choice, in my opinion. Toad getting ready to enter the Wily stages. I don't feel like he's gained a whole lot of ground on Rich in this game. I hate to say it.
Yeah, like Rich, he didn't do a couple of vertical zips. But other than that, he's been going for kind of all the major strats, and execution on them has been quite good. 1 or 2 slip-ups, but Toad has slipped up a couple times here and there, too. So
yeah,
this is not the big gap closer that Toad wants it to be.
I think it's just so interesting how, in Mega Man, the level of consistency matters so much. Like, the difference between, Toad's time and Rich's time is huge, but when it comes to actually like consistently getting those times, it's a totally different story. So anyhow, KHANanaphone on into Bubble Man. What's he gonna do? He's not doing the item 2 strategy here. Wily 1 for Toad. He's getting ready to set up some vertical zips. Uh-oh.
KHANanaphone falls.
Ooh.
These frogs are tricky, whether you do item 1 or 2 or even Buster. These jumps are really big. These frogs are really big.
He gets another one up. All right, into Purple Hell. InfestedRiche. He is in Purple Hell. How's he going to handle this, man? I mean, I think he's going to take it safe. I really think at this point in the game, he's got such a lead. There is no point in risking anything here. Just take it safe, buddy. That's the way to go. Yeah, he doesn't even go for the vertical zip there, which that's a pretty easy one. Toad, meanwhile, looking to set up the second vertical zip. Wow, he just barely missed it. He was a little too high.
It's really hard to do the 3 item.
Yeah, that one is super tough. Rich is actually going for the E-Tank. Wow.
You called it, though. That's safe. That's the safest.
I guess I've never seen anybody get that E-Tank before in a speed run, so I was just like kind of taken aback. But yeah, good planning there by Rich.
It's not that much time lost at all, and there's a really scary boss fight coming up where that E-Tank could make all the difference. I personally endorse this E-Tank maneuver.
Oh yeah, no question. I think it was a great strategic maneuver as we see Toad clearing the dragon. He'll be on into Wily 2. And wow, Rich really going for it in this room though. No playing around. He did go for the difficult strat there and get it. And this time, not so much. He's going to take his time in this room. Let's see if he goes for the zip. Nope. No need. He's just going to say, you know what? Let me just take these guys out. Even get a health drop. What the heck?
Yeah, sure. Take it.
Why not?
Okay, I'll take it.
To note, Rich and Toad have extremely similar Zelda times. So he doesn't have to worry about as much of a comeback from Toad when it comes to Zelda. And the Mario games are pretty short, so he's probably thinking like, look, as long as I can get through Mega Man 2 and be okay, then I've got a pretty nice setup going in these final games.
Crash Bomb placement is correct for the double hit. That's going to maybe earn him an extra Crash Bomb or 2 if he goes for some of these other strats. You can transfer the damage from one of these things to the other. Gets another double.
Looks like he's setting up the damage transfer. Didn't quite get it, but he's still got a Crash Bomb left, which may come into play. Some players, myself included, actually do like to use the Crash Bomb on the Wily boss here in the next stage because it takes him out in one hit. We'll see if Rich wants to opt to do that. That's another kind of safe strat that really costs minimal time. It's a couple menu screens that it costs, and it ensures that you're not going to do it. But I think what we'll see him doing is probably picking up some health drops along the way. And we see KHANanaphone entering Woodman. Let's hope that he can get his good wood on as the other players have. Rich in the refights.
Quick Man darting around.
Quick Man being Quick Man. He always does it, man. Every time. Crash Man a little bit easier. Good pattern or bad pattern? Well,
I think that was good.
I don't know, because Rich did a totally different strat. So he didn't care which pattern it was. He's like, I'm hitting him twice. All right, mini zip for KHANanaphone was a little light, so it's going to be tough to see if he gets past this final dog here. I don't know.
Wow, that was close.
He just got it.
So this game over from Toad. He was pretty far through this stage.
Oh, wow. Did he game over on the boss?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, man, that is a crushing blow for Toad. I mean, wow. Was he going for the double kill?
Wait, he must have been going for the double KO. Wow, Toad. Toad, you what a guy. I can't decide whether to applaud or shame this behavior, but
I don't know, man. I don't know about that choice. There's some swag that you go for, and there's some swag that you just gotta leave on the table.
He was hungry. He was like, I didn't go for some of that stuff. I can't let this opportunity. I don't know. Sometimes you just feel it, you know? You're in the moment.
I guess so.
Possibly stupid part of your brain says,
I guess so. Well, I have to say now at this point, with Toad taking that game over, it's Rich's race to lose. I mean, monster lead at this point. Like, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like, what could possibly go wrong? Like, he could zip in the next stage if he even attempts the zip in the next stage, which he probably won't. Like, he could mess that up and over zip. He could die on the Wily alien. I don't know. He could game over in Super Mario Brothers 1. Like, you're kind of almost having to think of scenarios now at this point.
It's more than any one mistake, and it's pretty big mistakes. Things can really get off the rails in Zelda. You die at a bad spot. You have the 3 health. You don't have the bombs you need or whatever. So I don't think it's completely over. But
No.
You're right. This is an absolutely massive advantage for Rich.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he has at least a 4-minute lead. Maybe even a little bit more. All right. Don't hug the alien, Rich.
The alien does so much damage.
He's flashy and shiny, and you know, Mega Man being a robot, he might be like, oh, let me touch that and see what it is. No, don't. There you go. All right, well done, Rich. Moving on to Super Mario Brothers. So this is kind of a wild card game, I think, in a lot of respects, because I don't know that any of these guys have a ton of experience with it, and it's a tough game. The early stages not so tough, but you get into
you can see him trying to get this mushroom, like
okay,
the inexperience showing itself right away. But you know what? That's Mario 1. If you like, you might laugh at that, but if you go back and try to do it yourself, you'll discover Mario is the biggest, slowest, slipperiest son of a gun in Mario 1. It is so hard to control this guy. When they set out to develop Mario 1, they wanted to make a big splash with their new console and things, so they wanted to make a character that felt really real when you're controlling him. And so they made Mario go really fast and jump really high, but also be really heavy feeling. And so it becomes really, really hard to control. If you don't believe me, fire it up, go back and try it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Mario 1 is a tough, scary game.
Well, speaking of fire, these guys are most likely all going to be getting the Fire Flower, which will ensure not only that it's a little bit easier for them to traverse certain sections, but in case they do get hit, they're not taking an instant death. So we can see that Rich has managed to get into 4-1 here. 4-1, a pretty easy stage. Wily stages for KHANanaphone. He's still in it. He's still in it, but man, he's got work to do. 4-2 is going to be the critical stage for Rich at this point. That is another disaster waiting to happen. If he does not get the wrong warp, he could be in trouble. At this point, you have to wonder, does he even need to go for the wrong warp? It's like, you may as well just do it the old school way
Just hit
at this
the blocks.
point.
Yeah.
Just hit the blocks, man. But I don't know. It's really tough to get inside these guys' heads and think about like what kind of decision-making process that they're going through. So, well, we're about to find out in just a moment. Is Rich going all out? Is he going to go for the bumps where he scrolls the camera a little bit, or is he just gonna
Doesn't look like
blocks? He's bumped a couple things, but he's going. Yeah, okay. He's playing it smart here. He's gonna go ahead and just get the vine, take the vine up the natural way. No wrong warping going on. For those that don't know, you can skip that whole vine animation. There is a pipe that you can get to if you've scrolled the camera just enough, and the game gets confused and sends you to where the vine takes you because it thinks that that's where you still are or something like that. I'm not explaining this very well. Toad getting his zip on. Be careful, Toad. He overzipped.
That's too far. So this
Toad.
This is a forced death situation.
Yeah, he has no choice but to die here. We have to hope that he has an extra life at least.
Well, after that game over, he probably got a nice refill. Okay on that front, but he's not okay on a lot of other fronts.
Wow, Toad, I think I really have to just believe that Toad probably didn't put a lot of time in Mega Man 2 because of how good he is, and it's a pretty punishing game when you have a little rust on you. I mean, those timings are extremely tight. Like, he was probably trying to hit that door, and it's like a 2-frame window to hit that door. And you overzip, and this is this is the result. So meanwhile, Rich heading into the really difficult part of Super Mario Brothers, he still maintained his Fire Flower. Can he maintain it through 8-2? This is critical because 8-3 is where you're going to see all the Hammer Brothers, and that's where you really, really, really want that Fire Flower. KHANanaphone taking a game over.
Yeah,
Very
he
sad.
went for the dangerous zip. Thankfully, dying there pretty
Not
early
too
on.
bad of a death.
And you get your weapons and stuff refilled, so now he
You
can
do.
just item 2 across.
Yeah, you do. So he's not the worst death to take, but still, you hate to
He's
see
gonna
it.
zip anyway, though. Is this low enough?
Oh no! Oh jeez. Yeah, I mean, he maybe just doesn't know the item 2 strategy. Like, he's probably just only familiar with the zip strat, and that's just what he's doing. No, now it looks like he pulled out item 2. No?
Did he? Nope, that's 1.
No? No?
Now Metal Blades?
Now Metal Blade. Wait, what? Okay, maybe he is going to
Now
go item
2? No, 1.
Now item
Okay.
2? What is happening, KHANanaphone?
He's got it. Oh, just a
Oh,
little too
no.
far again.
Not again,
Dang.
man. Not
Keep it together.
again.
Toad's not that far away. It's looking more and more like first place is locked up, but second place.
I don't
up
know.
for
I don't
grabs.
know. Anything can still happen, but wow, Rich, like he could die to the Hammer Brothers here easily. He's lost his Fire Flower, and there it
Well-
is. There is the death that's going to send him all the way back.
So one thing I do want to point out that could be affecting his decision making here is we are allowing the continue in Mario 1.
That's
Not a lot
true.
of people know, but you can hold A when you press start. Ooh, missing that mushroom there. You wanted that. And then into the pit because you can't accelerate in midair. What?
Oh,
God,
wow.
Mario controls. They're so
One
weird in
life.
this game.
We've
So
got one life
slowly-
left to live for Rich.
Slowly drifting into the pit. But yeah, you can continue from the world that you game over in. So if you game overs here, it's not back to 1-1, it's back to 8-1.
But that's still a pretty significant time loss there,
Mhm.
especially with Toad closing in on Super Mario Brothers. He is into the refights, and even with all
Hammer
his
Brother,
rust.
please.
Oh man. Oh man.
Iframes.
What?
Turtle.
Oh,
It's
please
coming
tell me
apart.
he at least knows
It's
the
coming
continue
apart.
code.
You-
Does
yeah,
he
I
at
did
least
make
know the
sure all
continue
the
code?
players know about this continue.
Oh,
Yes.
thank goodness. Okay, he's in 8-1. Wow. Still a massive lead.
Yeah,
No.
that's true. But that's
Like, you
one of a couple things that needed to happen.
Right. No,
for
that's
this
true.
Situation
That's
to
true.
change. You know, the stars
And-
are starting to align, perhaps.
And just because it happened once doesn't mean that it ain't gonna happen again.
He's
he
not
doesn't
done
have,
with Mario.
Yeah, he doesn't have his power-ups right now, and you know, there's a couple of spots that he can pick some stuff up. He is gonna go ahead and get the star, try to be a little bit safe. Wily for Toad. Toad actually gonna opt to crash missile there. So that's interesting. That's the first time that we've seen Toad actually kind of switch up to a slower strat, but it worked out well. He double crashed, and he's going to be heading into the final stage, which no doubt he will be going for the zip. Please, Toad, do not over zip again. Please, please, Toad. This is another spot where it can happen.
This is
Meanwhile,
a nice,
KHANanaphone
juicy B trigger zip, though.
Oh wow, he's only got one item 1 left, so he's actually going to have to run past and then do a pretty nice item 1 placement to make sure it gets high enough into the ceiling.
It looks
And
good.
It looks like he got it. Wow, that was a really
Wiggle?
close.
Is he wiggling? He's not really wiggling. Okay, I'm seeing
Okay,
some
now
wiggling.
he's
This
gonna
is
wiggle.
good.
Okay, he's in there. Nicely done. KHANanaphone is in a bit of a precarious
Ooh.
situation because he's on 0 lives, so he's really got to avoid getting hit by this. This enemy takes huge chunks of damage.
Rich
right.
almost jumped straight into a hole. It's just like a one-tile gap in the middle of
Excellent,
Alright,
excellent
jump
alien
almost
fight by
drifted into
Toad.
it. He is on the same game.
He is on the same game,
As
and it is
Rich.
a 5-minute game. In case you didn't-
Well,
maybe a
it
little more
can
for
be.
these guys. For these guys, it's more like a 6-minute game. But even still,
not
Toad
not the
Toad
20-minute
can
monsters.
he can feel it. He can feel it. The comeback. You know, he's starting to believe. Rich, meanwhile, is probably losing confidence as he takes a hit from another Hammer Brother.
Oh man! So the thing about Toad is Toad likes to have fun. So I guarantee you, he's laughing every time things go wrong for him in Mega Man.
Oh man.
Whereas Rich, way out in front, had that big lead, knows that he is on the, has a chance of blowing it. I think he's probably got a different mindset about the way things are happening for him. And
Yeah.
it could be all the difference in the end of the race here.
I find it to be that, playing from behind, there's just not as much pressure on you because you got nothing to lose. You're already behind. So, you're not really feeling all the nerves, whereas Rich is like, oh my goodness, like things are coming apart. Meanwhile, he has finally cleared 8-3. He's into 8-4. This is a dangerous stage, to be sure.
Yep.
Like, he's got 3 lives, but that is no guarantee that he will beat the stage. We hope he will.
If he goes for the good old wall jump.
No
Looks
need.
like he went straight for the block.
Let's skip it. So, not being big here means that he can't just damage boost through Bowser at the end there. Oh, okay. That was interesting. So he's going to have to get a little bit lucky, or maybe just go super safe mode and try to get through Bowser. But Toad, I believe here going into 4-2 is probably going to be going for the wrong warp. He probably feels that he needs those seconds wherever he can get them. And there's a pretty safe setup for it. Here comes Rich. And yeah, he's going to take it nice and safe. And he has cleared. He is moving on to Super Mario Brothers 3. He's going to finally be able to breathe because there's 18 auto-scrollers in this game. So he can take a nice break, let his heart rate come down a little bit, and then get back to business. Toad, does he get the wrong warp here? Oh, no! Toad! Oh, wow. I thought he went too far.
Yeah, he was pretty close there.
Holy crap, man. Toad's going to give me a heart attack with everything that he's doing here. So Toad on into World 8. Super Mario Brothers 3. What a classic game, man. I mean, this is one that I think like everybody knows Super Mario Brothers 3, right? It was in a movie, for goodness sake.
It was the star of that movie.
It was the star of that movie.
That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. People went to watch that movie simply to see this game. Yes.
So, I mean, I think Mario 3 is probably the best game on the NES. And I don't say that lightly. I'm someone who knows a lot about a lot of NES games and just all around through various metrics and science. I'm pretty sure the equation works out. Scientifically, Mario 3, best video game on the NES. Contender for like best video game of all goddamn time.
It's definitely up there on a lot of lists. There's no question about it. This is a fan favorite. We're going to see Rich doing a trick that everybody's probably seen, but in case you didn't know, if you hold down there, you can get behind the screen and you can go ahead and find your first warp whistle, which we're going to be seeing players get 2 warp whistles, use them both to get straight to stage 8, which contains all the auto-scrolling levels, and of course Bowser. So, Rich, one more to get here, right? One more. He's gonna get his leaf. He's gonna get the second flute.
I actually will admit I did not know about the double flute trick until speedrunning showed me.
Wow.
I'd always go to the World 2 and get that third whistle, blow all 3.
All right, so we see that Toad so far so good, right? 8-3 is the crucial stage for him because remember, Rich had a game over.
He sure did.
If Toad, oh no, Toad!
As soon as the attention snaps over, just like a invisible wall, just.
I mean, it's like just
jump, just
straight into the pit, straight into the pit. Meanwhile, Rich has used both of his flutes. He is into auto-scroller heaven. If you are a fan of auto-scrollers, my friend, then you want to just keep your eye on InfestedRiche. If you're not, then you may want to put your attention over to Toad's screen where he's going to be struggling through 8-3. Poor KHANanaphone had another game over, and Purple Hell is the culprit. You can't be that surprised. This goal was another really difficult goal. Mega Man 2, such a brutal game. It's
30
long
minutes
and it's brutal.
if you're good. Like, there's so much to it. It's dense with tricks the whole way through too. It's not auto scrollers. It's action and knowledge and tech for 30 solid minutes. It is really draining, and it's kind of impressive that these guys are.
Yeah, these guys have already been playing for 2.5 hours almost. So it's to still be going. It's like wow. And these are guys that they speedrun NES games. They don't speedrun those long 3-hour games. So, it's got to be taxing on you. Meanwhile, Toad looking good with his Fire Flower into 8-4, so he's going to be able to damage boost through Bowser. He doesn't have to waste any time. Speaking of Fire Flower, Super Mario Bros. 3, you do want to maintain that Fire Flower to be able to take Bowser out much more quickly. That's going to be the task at hand for Rich once he gets through all these auto-scrollers.
Unless you're a scrub like me, and then you want the leaf so that you can fly over the ship and the 8-1, and you go up in the pipe and 8. I feel like I do all of that stuff, man. When I had to do this for the Big 20, this was one of the last games I learned with only a couple days left to go. And I actually went into one of the hand levels to get a leaf just so I could use it to get it. Yeah, that's me.
So that's another nice piece of luck that's coming up, though, as we see Toad has completed Super Mario Brothers. He's in Super Mario 3, once again, in the same game as InfestedRiche. I don't think he catches him here, but I'm going to tell you guys a secret. It may be a secret to everyone, or probably no one that's watching right now. But Toad can actually do a more difficult route in Zelda, whereas InfestedRiche will probably be doing the easier route in terms of which levels he goes through.
Oh, KHANanaphone! Oh, you crazy man, KHANanaphone! He went transfer with only the 4 health left, backed off at the last second, played it safe, so he's done with Wily 4.
Wow. Finally. All right. Finally cleared Wily 4. The monkey's off his back. I don't know, man. KHANanaphone is going to need a miracle. Something crazy is going to have to happen, but he's got to just try to finish strong. You know, it's never over until it's over. Just got to keep playing.
Yep, Rich is. He had a couple things go wrong in Mario 1, though he is looking pretty strong in Mario 3. So I don't want to say he's kind of rattled or anything. But gosh, some things can really go wrong in Zelda.
Absolutely. There's a lot of bad things that can happen. I mean, so a lot of these games that we've chosen, it's like not too many crazy bad things can happen, but then the opposite is true for so many. As Rich gets a hand, hand luck is definitely a thing. I believe it is I want to say it's a 1 in 4 chance you get grabbed, or is it 1 in 2 that you get grabbed? I can't remember
1 in
the odds.
2, I think.
Okay. Well, either way, to get 0 hands, the odds are a little low. I think I want to say it's 1 in 16. Rich getting 2 hands. If Toad was able to get no hands, that'd be a pretty big deal, and keep Fire Flower. So Toad, with some potential to gain significant time on Rich here. Toad's going to be in World 8 pretty shortly. They're going to be in the same world. We're getting close now, guys.
He does have this leaf now, if he wants to go with the baby leaf strats. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is, baby! Yeah! This is a hard level. I'm going to say it. All you speedrunners will be out there, be like, meh, auto-scroller, meh. This is a hard level. These ships go pretty darn fast. These moles are placed in devious positions such that either their body or the thing they throw is in a really bad spot almost every single time. The leaf here is a huge mental relief that can save you some imaginary sanity points for some of this. Ooh, nice little dodge there under the wrench from Rich.
Well, I mean, he's not even in the frog suit. Come on, how hard can it be? No, definitely a hard stage. It does travel faster than the other auto-scrollers as well, I believe. Rich has done a good job. He's made it to the end here. So that's going to be the last tricky spot. We do have the tank still to go, I believe. A few other levels. KHANanaphone, meanwhile, trying to set up that zip here. Please don't overzip KHANanaphone.
Yeah, you need this.
Don't do it, man.
You're not out of it yet.
He's got some wiggling to do.
Okay, he looks
Get in there, buddy.
Wiggling. All right.
Okay, good.
Now
He
just
is
don't
in there.
touch the alien.
He is in there. Do not hug that alien, as tempting as it might be. It
Rich
is not
playing
what
it
you
real
want to do.
safe in 8-1 here. If he wants, he could fly up through that pipe. There's a secret there. It'll get you some extra lives and spit you out halfway through the level. And he's doesn't want any part of it. He's going to keep these bullet bills here.
Yeah, he's going to take a
that's not
take a
good.
pass, and he's going to take a death. So that is not trivial at all. That is well, he did have the backup leaf, so good on that. But if something else bad happens to Rich, things are going to be a lot more interesting.
Yep, doing this level as Small Mario is not fun. You really want to have that extra hit you can take, and the leaf especially will get you out of some sticky situations, particularly at the end here with these big gaps.
All right, Rich
looking good.
Looking good this time. He is through. Okay, he is out of danger for the moment.
KHANanaphone is done with Mega Man 2. He's into Mario.
Do we know anything about his Mario skills? Is he
Mario 1 is the scariest game. It might not be his worst, but he says he is absolutely terrified if he has to run it. And it's because of the lack of control. Mario is like a speeding train, and you just kind of do your best to gently guide it in the right direction and hope everything works out okay.
Well, so far so good. He's managed to pick up the fire flower as long as he can keep that. And
doesn't slow down on that Goomba either. Just man, he's looking good. Looking
okay, Rich picking up that fire flower. So the key for him is, can he keep this the rest of the way, and then spam Bowser with fireballs? I mean, that's a huge time difference between having to wait for Bowser to jump around. I don't know the exact time, but I would guess it would be close to 30 seconds, wouldn't you say?
That seems fair.
20 seconds at least.
Ooh, keeps the P-speed through the door transition. Nicely job.
Done. Nicely done. And then this boss will be trivial for him, this little mini boss. Fire flower away. So KHANanaphone on into 4-2. Is he going for the wrong warp? Is he going for regular vine? We're about to find out. As Toad getting the first hand, so unfortunately Toad maybe going to gain one hand, but he ain't going to gain two. That is a sad, sad thing.
The Hammer Brother one's probably my least favorite.
As long as he can avoid getting all three hands. Oh no. Please don't.
That's two.
That ain't right, man. That ain't right. Come on
He's
now.
close. He just...
Don't do it, game.
He can only do so much. KHANanaphone, meanwhile, has got to the warp. He is into World 8. He's still got his Fire Flower, so he's about as good as he can look at this point.
This game is cruel. This game is cruel. Toad getting all three hands. I don't know what the odds of that are, but I guess it would be the same as getting none. Uh-oh.
Cheap Cheap's also pretty annoying. Wants this mushroom back.
He's got a mushroom there. He's into the safety zone for now. Meanwhile, Rich no longer having that fire flower.
Yep, we're not going to see the fire Bowser kill.
See that.
Pretty hard, I think, to hold on to that.
That gives Toad a good opportunity, though. Even getting the three hands, that's maybe still a little bit of ground that he can make up, possibly. We'll see.
He's busting out the leaf for the ship as well.
All right, so Rich.
Bowser's Castle.
Bowser's Castle, not going to go for that first clip there. That's too tricky and not enough of a time save. Probably going to go for this clip here, though. You get the one up and you just jump on top of the block. It's not too tough, and he gets it first try. Nicely done. He is going to be heading on into Bowser shortly, if he can get in the door.
It's not trivial doing the Fruit Loop jumps there without a leaf. And also Big Mario's head will pop off some ceilings that Small Mario wouldn't. But he's got into Bowser. He's got his mushroom, though you really don't need it. Bowser's hitbox is kind of janky here at the end of Mario 3, so he's just going to duck and he'll be fine here. Yeah,
just duck. No need to do anything crazy. So he's going to have to wait for a bunch of jumps here. By the time he's done, Toad is not going to quite be about in Bowser's Castle yet, but he's through the airship at least. 8-3 for KHANanaphone. How is KHANanaphone going to handle 8-3 is the question right now.
Without the Fire Flower is one.
Well, he could get it. He could get an upgrade here, and he's going to go ahead and play it safe, take out both those Hammer Brothers. He does get the Fire Flower. Now, try not to fall in a hole.
This is so tricky, this section. You don't...
and there it is, Rich.
Okay.
Rich is into Zelda. So Rich is most likely going to be using the safer route, which means he is going to be going to level 2 first. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Hype is the name that Rich is going to go with. I like it. Now that is a showman right there.
That's good. That gives us a little clue as to where he's at in his mindset, right? We were talking about Toad's probably riding pretty high on the way things are going, and I'm really glad to see that InfestedRiche as well is feeling good about the way things have gone. Oh, Toad just missing the top of that pipe in 8-1.
Brutal stuff.
No
So
relief for him. He's down to Small Mario.
So Zelda, this is a very interesting game. You can actually do this screen scrolling trick, which you see Rich is doing. He's actually kind of trying to buffer to set it up, which makes it a little bit easier using the sword, but he's wrapping around the screen. You have to be on an exact pixel, and then you can use the sword, and I guess you press up or down, and then that's what gets you turned around, and then you just go ahead and walk through the other side of the screen. Easy as pie. So Rich executing it well a couple times. He's going to go on into level 2. And with the lead he has, his main focus is just going to have to be
survival.
Make sure that he manages his bomb count, make sure that he manages his health, and don't do anything stupid.
I think you undersold it a little bit when you said he executed those raps well. I was kind of shocked at how quickly he got some of those first try even. Getting those wraps is so hard. Getting that 1 pixel, even just getting on the pixels hard and then doing a 1 frame input on the D-pad, it's tricky stuff, man. But
it is a little tough. It is a little tough, but
like a seasoned veteran here.
He is looking like a vet. I would say he put the most work into this game of all the games. He was grinding on this pretty hard. He was getting PBs pretty regularly, and you know. Again, he's just kind of using these safer strats. It's the same thing as Mega Man 2. You know, he's not doing anything too crazy that's going to get him killed. And it's really working out for him so far. This is why I think he's been so consistent in the big 20 races that he's played in, is just this high level of consistency and not too much risk. As you can see him picking up a bomb drop there. He's ready to go. He'll be setting up another bomb drop from this enemy, and he is in great shape after level 2. We can see KHANanaphone has moved on into Super Mario 3. Takes an immediate death. That was unfortunate.
I'm sure that helps set the tone for this Mario 3 adventure here. I saw him practicing speed ship in World 8. It seemed to be a focus for him. He really was not, because he was like, he tried it and he died, and he was like, wait, if this happens to me, I literally just have to do this as Small Mario. And he was like, I could be stuck here forever doing this. So when he realized that, he was like, I need to figure this out.
Yeah,
spend some time on it. He's got to be thinking about it.
I hope that he's just in a place where he feels like he can finish up as Rich, getting some secrets here. He's going to go ahead and take the heart there. There's a couple places in Zelda where you have the option. You can take the heart or you can take the potion. Now, I know that I've seen Toad get the potion before. I'm not sure if Rich is going to get the potion. He tends to get 14 hearts in his runs, whereas Toad and KHANanaphone both get 13 hearts. And we're going to see Toad taking that riskier route indeed, which could gain him some time, but it could also backfire. So Rich wants to get the Master Sword up here. You need 5 hearts to get that, and he's going to fend off that enemy. Well done, Master Sword. Or maybe this is called the White Sword. I think always
it's called
get
the White
wrong.
Sword.
It's the White Sword.
The other one's not even the Master Sword. It's magical.
Yeah,
sword.
it's the magic sword.
The other sword. I'm
gonna be in so much trouble with the Zelda players now, man. They're gonna be all over me. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long time.
This is the weird one before they really figured out exactly what to call it.
They didn't all have all the naming conventions and everything straightened out just yet. Rich doing a great job with these screen wraps, man. He is really doing well here. So Rich is going to be probably now heading to level 1 after he picks up a few more items, I think. Oh no, I'm sorry. Level 1 is actually going to be right now. He's good to go. He's in good shape with his bombs, good shape with his health. Going to take a quick exit and come back in to unlock that door. And then he is going to be on his way.
Really weird quirk there. The way the door just goes away.
Very strange indeed. So these guys are actually going to be counting the enemies that they take out because they can force certain drops in the game. Essentially, if you're able to get 10 consecutive kills, there is a consecutive kill counter, and depending on how you kill an enemy, you can force a drop. So if you kill the 10th enemy with a bomb and it is an enemy from a subset of enemies that do drop bombs, then you will get a bomb. There's also the random drops that can just happen, and it's like, oh hey, I got a lucky drop. So either way, all these players are well aware and knowledgeable of how to force the drops when they need to. So you'll be seeing them sometimes maybe killing some enemies, and it might look a little out of place, but they're doing it for a reason. And nice clip there to get through the block. Rich is going to go ahead and pick up the bow. He's doing well, man. He's feeling the hype.
He is, absolutely. Toad, on the other hand, having a bit of trouble getting the clip in Bowser's castle, and then had to actually go to the lower door to get some P-speed to fly up to the top door, but he's made his way to Bowser's castle. There's no way he's going to die here, so it's just a matter of time before he joins Rich, The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. So Rich finished up with Super Mario Bros. 3 at just about 2 hours and 37 minutes. And Toad is going to be finishing up here, it looks like 2 hours and about 44 is what it's going to be. So pretty significant lead to overcome, man. I mean, we're talking bad things need to happen to our good buddy from Sweden, InfestedRiche.
Yeah. Some bad things can happen to you in Zelda, especially in like level 9. But that is enough minutes that even any single worst thing is not enough here. So this is Rich's race to lose, to be sure. And Rich is looking completely solid here. He is making this look easy, even as a rather new player. And you know what? I think it's because he's really excited about this game in particular. I asked him, were there any games that he was going to get into after playing them for this? And he said Zelda. Next thing that I do, I don't know if he's going to go for like a record or whatever, but he wants to get a solid time in this game. He's enjoying himself. And it's totally apparent in the way he's playing.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. And Zelda has a great community. They have a big community. Zelda used to just be kind of like a lot of these old NES games. It used to just be 1 or 2 people that were really good at running it. But now the numbers have just skyrocketed, and they have their Zelda randomizer tournaments and stuff like that. Like, the level of knowledge in the game and just the level of skill of the people playing the game has gone up so much. And I think Rich will make a great addition to that community just because of his level of skill with all the NES games that he plays. He could definitely challenge some people in Zelda, I think.
It'll be great to see where these guys go after their races in their speedrunning careers. KHANanaphone, a little bit kind of like some almost for this race. He comes out for these events, but he's not a super active speedrunner the way that Rich and Toad are streaming all the time.
So Rich actually took a hit there, so that's going to reset his counter, even though that enemy doesn't deal damage, and I believe he was trying to set up a bomb drop, so that was a little bit unfortunate for him. He's not going to get any bomb drops here. He may take another crack at it. He could get a bomb drop from some of these dark nuts, and he does. So he's back up to 8, which is the max, and he is going to get the raft. Cruising.
Absolutely cruising. Toad is also in level 3. Don't get don't get confused.
Toad did not magically gain 7 minutes. He is just doing a different route. So his route is more difficult because, as you're going to see, Rich is probably going to come to the boss of this stage first. This boss is scary, man. When you only got 3 hearts,
Wooden sword.
This is not fun times here.
Yep. So we'll see when he gets there. It's going to be a challenge for sure. Rich, a lot easier. White sword does double the damage of the
so
wooden
just in
sword.
case. Yeah, just in case. You can kill this guy in one bomb, manhandler. Rich getting only 1 of the 4 heads, getting the second one, and he is going to sword out the last one barely. Manages to do it with his health. Toad doing a great job there. He's got all the bombs he needs. He's got all his health, and they both get the Triforces exactly at the same time. Well, that's nice. I do like that. at least we have that.
They're
kind of
neck and neck.
Moment. Why
Just
does Rich
straight
have
up
so many
lied.
more hearts than Toad? I don't understand.
He's cheating. Don't worry about it. No, pretty significant gap still between these players. Toad showing he's not quite as comfortable with these screen wraps as Rich is. Gets it eventually.
Yeah. So again, these guys are both going to be going to the same place, though. They're actually both going to be going to 4 now. So again, danger zone for Toad, man. He's got no regard for safety. I'll tell you that. And you got to respect him for it because he is behind. So he's doing everything he can to give himself a chance to win. And that's all you can ask, really. You know, you got to he's putting his heart and soul into this run, and just, the chips fall where they may kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not the kind of guy to play for second. Though even if he was, he is up against KHANanaphone. He knows he's got a really big disadvantage to overcome, so he would probably want to consider moving real quick through Zelda the way he is anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, these guys are all super competitive, and if you don't come first, you definitely don't want to come third. Like, these guys are not just going to be like, oh, I give up and I don't care if I come second or third. Like, they're going to be fighting for that second place, believe it. So KHANanaphone on the airship. Hopefully he's able to get through Super Mario Bros. 3. He's on 0 lives, which he just keeps getting into these bad spots, man.
I'm sure not intentional, but this is a really tricky situation. All right, does not over jump it. That's how he got to Small Mario, Big Mario in the first place. He over jumped it and ran straight into one of the moles. He's onto this. I forget his name. Boom Boom, I think is his name.
Yeah, I believe it's Boom Boom. We see ladder get for Toad.
Yeah, I always get a little nervous around Boom Boom. It's really stupid to get hit by him, but that just makes it feel all the worse when it happens. So I'm thinking about it. But double rafts here for both players walking around on some of these tiles. I think we're going to see them do an application of the block clip slash.
Yeah, Toad's doing it right there, as you can see. You can't see because it's in the dark, but he's actually not supposed to be able to get across there. But he's using that same wrapping glitch that you guys have seen throughout the run. And you can see he's doing a pretty good job here, but the boss of this level is also another tough one. And especially, again, because he's stuck with that wooden sword. And he's going to have to do a lot of sword hits to take out, I believe we're going to have 2 heads on this variation.
Yeah, I think the heads do significantly less damage than a weird 3 out of 8 hearts or something damage they do. So you don't want to get hit by the fireballs, which apparently did not get the memo on that one. Taking lots of hits, but also dealing lots of damage. This can be kind of a DPS race.
He's got to be careful. He's got to be really careful here. He needs just a few more hits to clear this, and he does it. Well done. Toad, risky strats. And we're going to have another double Triforce grab here. there it is, man. Hold it up.
Meanwhile,
another nice moment.
Still struggling with Mario 3. Had a game over in 8-1, I guess it was. Has to deal with some hands again, because he didn't quite get far enough to unlock one of the pipes that lets you progress back through worlds.
Yeah.
Another hand.
Yeah, not good. Not good times for KHANanaphone. Hopefully better times ahead in Zelda. We can see, though, that Rich, with a very solid lead, if any of you are just joining us, he's actually completed 2, 1, 3, and 4, whereas Toad has just completed 3 and 4. So they're not as actually close as that they had looked, but not quite over yet, but a significant lead for InfestedRiche. as we see Toad heading into level 1. Rich got a little bit of a choice here. He could get the potion at this point if he wanted to, I believe, but he is going to opt to get the heart. I don't know if he's going to get the potion at all, but if I was him in this situation, I don't think there's any reason to not get a potion going into the final stage. I mean, it pretty much ensures victory as long as you use it, but I guess that's going to be up to him. He's going to need to make a decision on whether he wants to do that, alter his route at all. But
sometimes you're really sure that, like, logically, like, yeah, no, I've thought it through. It makes sense. Get the potion. But there's this part of your brain that's like, this is a really tense moment. It really matters. Are you sure that the potion is the right thing? And that can cause you to just fall back on the thing that you know, that you've done before. Even though most of you thinks it's the wrong thing to do. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. He's into level 5 here. 2 dungeon advantage over Toad. And looking pretty far ahead of KHANanaphone, who has made his way out of 8-1. He's going to start his way through 8-2. A lot of ground to cover. Plus, also, he knows people are watching. Like, even if he knows he's dead last, he's still going to do the absolute best he can and put it all out there.
Oh, yeah. He'll probably get, like, a PB in Zelda or something.
Right, yeah.
Just to make sure he closes it out real well. Level 1 is clear for our man Toad. Rich in a very difficult room here. These blue dark nuts, insanely difficult. Their movement is just incredibly random. Rich handling it very well, though. He's only just taken that first hit there. He's got a lot of hearts to work with, thankfully. But this is a room that if things go badly, like, you can die in this room. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be the case for Rich. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of rooms in these levels that can put you to the test. There's the recorder.
It may look familiar. We just saw Mario 3 play a very similar looking instrument. Pretty similar use, I guess, in this game. Summons a whirlwind. Does not warp you forwards. I mean, you have to visit a place first, and it'll warp you. I don't know exactly what the warp mechanics are. It's the way you're facing, and the number of times you blow it, and the number of the dungeons you've been to.
These guys know how to set it up right. The bottom line is you can set it up how you want so that you go where you want, and you can traverse the map much quicker. That's what these guys are going to be doing. One interesting note about it does reset your kill counter, so it kind of counts as an enemy in that way, I suppose. But for the way that Rich has been handling stuff so far, I don't think he's too worried about that. He's got 8 bombs, and he's a little low on hearts, but I don't think he's in any immediate danger at this point. We'll have to see. Taking a nice little hitbox there just to get through those guys. Uh-oh. Watch out for the orange dark nuts now. Ooh,
you can
okay,
hide in
let's
those
try
doorways
again. Let's try this again, he says.
Now, dark nuts are not totally random in the way they move. We'll change what they do roughly because of where you're standing, what you're doing. So it's possible to sort of manipulate them a little bit.
A little bit. But again, it's, these guys may not be playing at the absolute highest level in this game just because, they're just learning the game and whatnot. So higher level manipulations you're probably not going to see. Rich looks like he's 3. He's about to be coming up to the boss here. So even though he's on 2 hearts, he should be okay. He's going to use the recorder to do a funny little trick here. And looks like he's good to go. Just don't get hit. Okay, good. And there it is. Level 5 is clear.
Gonna eat up a lot of time with this health refill at the really high levels of you're wanting to pick up the Triforce with as much health as possible to avoid that time loss, but he's got way more time than that ahead of his opponents, so no problem for him. Not going to be worried about that. He's worried about getting to the Triforce, period.
And we can see poor KHANanaphone actually had the Fire Flower heading into this stage and lost it immediately.
So we're not going to see the fire
It's
kill.
not been his night. Yeah, we are not going to see a fire flower kill, unfortunately. What we are going to see is Rich heading to level 7 in a little bit here. Difficulty is going to start ramping up a little bit. He's in great shape. He's got a lot of hearts. And he's going to go ahead and pick up, I believe they call it the bait, if I'm not mistaken. You got it right.
No Master Sword situation
All right.
here.
The Zelda people aren't going to yell at me for that one. Thank God. So I think he's going to go ahead and he's going to grab some arrows as well, because why not? So arrows in this game actually they cost rupees to use.
Yeah, rather than
weird twist.
Having to spend rupees on arrows, they just said, nah, rupees are arrows.
Yeah, might as well. And KHANanaphone looks like he is finally going to close things out. If he can just get this last thing going here with Bowser. Okay, good. And he is to safety. So KHANanaphone finally going to be entering the Legend of Zelda. I don't think he can make up this much ground, unfortunately, but he is going to put on a very, very good run.
So in some ways, we actually get to like focus Zelda run once these other guys are done. Because when they get to their game, right, we always try to kind of direct the attention to this is how this game is done at the higher levels. So despite the fact that he's got this huge gap to overcome, we definitely want to keep your eye on what KHANanaphone is doing, because it's going to look pretty good.
And he is probably going to be taking the same route that Toad took. He is going to go 3-4-1-2, the more dangerous route, but also the much faster route. I would say that Toad has been gaining time on Rich in this run. Maybe not a ton, but I do feel like he has been gaining some ground. So there we see the bait getting used. Grumble, grumble. And Rich just doing a great job. Level 7 got a lot of these annoying enemies.
Clipping through the Dark Nut room there is Toad. That route he's taken, I think, is responsible for some of this time he's made up on Rich.
Yeah, I would agree. Rich gonna go ahead and pick up the candle there.
It looks like Toad's trying to round up these Dark Nuts to try to maximize the use of his bombs, particularly because he's only got the wooden sword. He's really... And none of them are dead yet. Okay, one is dead.
He did get one, but he might have got some hits on some of the other ones. The way it works is funny. The bomb is like facing in the direction that Link is facing when you drop it, and then these guys can actually block the bomb hits. So if you place a bomb incorrectly, then it just doesn't even deal any damage to them. And it looks like he was hoping to maybe get a bomb drop from one of these guys. Didn't happen, and now he's got to use the wooden sword, which he's really, really in trouble here because he's got only 3 hearts. Picks up another heart there. I believe these guys do 2 damage, so he really can only afford to get hit once.
Just poking away. More annoying than anything.
Oh boy. Alright, don't take another hit. Wow, okay.
They all had 1 hit left.
That was scary. That was very
scary.
scary.
Manhandla is able to get that second cleanup bomb on him. So he's coming out of level 3 with 8 bombs, looking pretty good.
Well, we are just passing 3-hour mark here, and InfestedRiche is just getting another piece of the Triforce. He's still got 6, 8, and 9 left, and then he's going to be closing things out here. Meanwhile, just to note, I believe we have a rule in place that if Toad were to die in a certain scenario, he may have to go back to the room where he died.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not allowing death abuse, so to speak, right? To kind of warp out of somewhere.
Yes, it's possible to do up plus A on the second controller to sort of, and that will warp you back to the first screen. So warping obviously has potential to save time in a speedrun, and so it kind of creates a different category. We didn't want to do that category. We want to do the deathless one. So that means what happens if you just die? Well, we don't want to just say your race is over. Like if Toad was just done here,
well,
that would
and yeah,
right.
yeah,
So he is gonna game over. And so we decided the way to ensure that you don't somehow get an advantage from a death is that you always have to go back to where you died. And that's what he has to do. Though I wasn't paying attention to where he actually died. I thought it might have been this room even, but probably not. Probably somewhere else.
So hopefully he remembers the rule.
Hopefully someone is paying attention more than us.
Kind of quickly, but I think at this point it's almost, with Rich's lead at this point, it's, not going to make too big of a difference. Maybe it could be the difference between him and KHANanaphone, though. So we do, of course, want to see our players following the letter of the law as it was made. Anyhow, we now have our fun friends called the Wizrobes that are very dangerous enemies. And InfestedRiche with full health is in no danger. And he is just trucking right along, right through level 6 here. Bunch of Wizrobes in this room, but he's not sticking around to have fun with them. He's leaving the party immediately.
Wizrobes are so scary.
Yeah. It's not until level 9 that you really got to face all of them down, There's nowhere to run anymore.
Yep.
It's kinda...
Good old reverse C.
Now he's going to have to take these guys out. Yeah.
Look at all these fairies. He's swimming in fairies.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's just your day.
In this game, though, there are only 3 hearts.
Right. However, there are places that you can go to get a full fairy refill, which hopefully we don't see that, because that means that somebody probably died in level 9.
So Rich, already having done level 7, has just got 6, 8, and 9 left. It's made good progress here. In 6, taking out some Wizrobes just because they're in his way.
Another thing that we should note, just to say, is that Rich was at a slight time disadvantage here because he's in Europe. So he's actually playing this much later than the other players. Now, I mean, I don't know how much of a night owl Rich is, but it sure doesn't seem to be bothering him that that he's playing this late at night. He's doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think this race started at 2 in the morning for him, so it's about 5 now. And I've noticed the speedrun community tends to definitely trend towards the night owl lifestyle. And I'm pretty sure Rich is one of those people, but 5 a.m. is a hell of a time to try to maintain your concentration after 3 hours of speed gaming.
That is rough indeed. I would say, though, that thankfully for him, this is on a night that is leading into the weekend. So hopefully he's able to sleep in tomorrow. Get another look at a manhandler there. Nice bomb drop. Okay, this is a scary Dark Nut room. Tons of lag going on. Fireballs coming from everywhere. And you gotta kill them all. No running away this time. Next room's going to be the same.
Magic sword. Huge help here.
Oh, yeah. And a fairy drop. How about that? That was a lucky drop. That was not a forced drop.
He's got the fairies on his side.
He does, man. He's been having pretty good luck so far. But, I've seen there be a tendency for the luck to dry up in this game. So you get all the good luck early, then things can kind of go badly. Now he's taking a little bit of damage here. This is a tight room. Very tough to navigate. And he's cleared it up just a little bit, so he looks like he's comfortable now. And
KHANanaphone, meanwhile, is in 1 here. Making rapid progress through Zelda. Probably not going to be enough to catch these guys, but definitely keep your eye out for how he's doing down there. Level 8, pretty scary, but Rich is
the boss. But he's got that magic sword. Magic sword makes this fight pretty trivial, and another fairy, why not? Why not?
Just to save some time on the Triforce
just because.
refill. Question from chat: does KHANanaphone have a shot? No, not really. Not really.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, obviously, but I would be completely blown away if both of these guys were to be so delayed that Khan could catch up. Good as he is at Zelda.
Yeah, he just took too many unfortunate deaths in too many of the games. Mega Man 2 really, really put a hurting on him. And I think Super Mario 3 was a little rough as well.
Mm-hmm. We got a potion.
We see a potion. So Rich, almost a stone cold lock at this point. Now I will say that I have seen sometimes people get in the Ganon fight and you think you're safe, but Ganon can get like 2 rapid hits on you and that's like 8 health. And I've seen people like thinking they're about to use the potion and then they just don't use it in time and it's like, oh, I'm dead. So it's gonna be tough here.
You can get stubborn too. You can be like, no, I don't need potion. I can wait for one more, and then blah. You want to be liberal with it. Get 2 uses of it.
All right, so level 9. Level 9 is not easy. Even with all the hearts that he has and his bomb setup and everything like that, this is a tough one. This is a tough stage.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the last is a tough stage. It's like a grind basically. It's so long. There's so many rooms you have to traverse. So many of them have ways to just chip away at your health pool.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of Wizrobe rooms. Just a lot of tricky maneuvering that has to be done. But you know, Rich, he's going to go. He's going to pick up the silver arrows. He's going to save the princess. Meanwhile, we see Toad finishing out level 7 there.
2 more to go for him, maintaining this kind of 2 dungeon gap between him and Rich. I should say their PBs for Zelda are 1 second apart. So they are actually quite comparable here.
They are. So Toad would have to have a pretty... He'd pretty much have to PB and Rich would have to die on Ganon, I think, is essentially what we're looking at. But Rich doing well, man. The Wizrobes are behaving themselves. Uh-oh. Took a little bit of a hit there.
1 hit.
But he still okay.
Has the green tunic here. Has not acquired any of the rings that give the big defense bonuses.
He could go for red ring at this point. That might be a little too much on the safe side, but I mean, he could almost afford to do it.
Trying to block clip so he doesn't have to deal with Patra. Patra says no. Wow. Down to 3 hearts. Thanks, Patra.
So
chasing him around the ring of blocks trying to get this.
This becomes a little interesting now.
There's 1 use of the potion.
He's gonna use one. Yeah, now. Okay, we've got an interesting development. He's gonna be able to use that potion 1 more time, but he's still got a pretty long ways to go before he reaches Ganon, and there's a lot of bad things that can happen. I mean, got a Wizrobes here. He's about to be in that reverse C block room that is pretty terrifying. Oh wow, gets some nice spawns off the top.
The red Wizrobes. Wow. Gone. Following him along the outside of the room, and they're done.
Smoked. That's about as good as it gets, folks. Can't ask for much better. So he is gonna indeed get those silver arrows and be ready to head on over to Ganon and finish this thing out.
This game, this race, the whole shebang, he's on the verge of taking it all.
He has put in some work. You have to believe that after doing something like this, he's got to feel pretty good about his chances in the next Big 20.
For sure. He has performed very well every time he has. It's just been, other reasons and stuff that's kind of kept him from competing in all of them. I'm looking for, there definitely is a Big 26 on the way. if you believe the nonsense coming out of Bad Breaks' mouth, there's also a big 100 that is all previous big 20s.
Wow.
I don't think anyone. Well, Toad said he'd sign up for it, but he might be the only one.
He'd be the only one playing. The big 100. Bad Breaks versus Toad. The ultimate showdown. All right. Nice heart drop there, and we're getting close to the end here. So Rich, probably gonna take it very, very safe on Ganon, and taking another hit there. A little dangerous. He's got that potion out and ready though, just in case. Just in case things get a little too hairy. Really nice clip there. Nice block clip.
Yeah, after losing all those hearts, must have been pretty scary, but then had to have reverse C go so well. Hard to say where he's at right now. State of mind is probably...
he's feeling the hype now.
He's all over the place, yeah.
Here we go. This is the final battle right here. Break out that Triforce, take down Ganon, and go save the princess. All right,
Easy
not
boss,
even going
right?
for the stun
Get him
lock.
in the corner, and you just do the thing.
Whew.
Okay.
That was
Ganon
close. Okay,
has
there's a
broken
potion
out.
use. Rich not playing it safe though. He can stand in that safety spot, and he's not doing it. So he's got to be a little careful. But he does get that final hit. All right, there it is. So he is going to be.
Wait for it.
He's going to be advancing
To the
into the final room,
finals.
and he is the champion of the
He has done
NES
it.
Classic Edition Invitational. InfestedRiche, everybody, is your winner. Great job.
GG.
3 hours, 13 minutes, and 5 seconds, according to his timer. Holding up that Triforce in victory. Really great job. I mean, what more can you say about Rich's performance?
So consistent. It started to come apart a little bit. Maybe it's really late, or maybe it's just fatigue from having focused for so long. But games like 1 through 18, or no, not 8. Weird. This time it's 14. So games 1 through 10, I guess. He was just looking so solid. I pegged him as to be the most consistent player among the three today. And I think I called it because he was looking rock solid. And after things got a little shaky in Mario 1, rallied, and he came up with a convincing victory.
Very
over both of
convincing.
these players.
Very, very convincing. We still have Toad in level 8. He's just about to clear level 8 here, and then he'll be headed to 9 himself. But, I mean, you have to wonder, like, what happened that he just built this lead seemingly out of nowhere. It was just like every game you're just like, wow, he's further and further and further ahead. It's that consistent play that you talked about. And just unfortunate things happening for the other runners, I guess, is what ended up telling the story. So great job, though, by all of these guys, man. They had a short time to prepare, and they rose to the challenge, as they frequently do in the Big 20s, and put on a wonderful, wonderful show for everyone. It's nice to see everybody finishing up to KHANanaphone, even with how much of a rough time he had. You know.
If something bad happens to Toad in 9, KHANanaphone's kind of going to be right there. Could be a fun finish.
Yeah, it could definitely be pretty interesting here. So we're gonna.
You gotta wonder what would this race would look like without the attempted double KO on Pico Pico in the Mega Man 2 for Toad.
Yeah, that was a big one. That really was a big one at the end of the day. You know, you think back on those things, and you know, I mean, to be fair, Toad has had other things on his plate. I'm not trying to make excuses for Toad or anything like that, but he is going to be playing some games at AGDQ. He's been trying to make sure he's ready for that as well. Thankfully, one of them overlap with this.
Yeah,
But he will be racing the Mexican runner in Contra. That ought to be a heck of a race.
He's also going to be doing Batman Return of the Joker. So look out for Toad at AGDQ 2017. Likewise, our winner today, InfestedRiche, is going to be doing Trojan, not one of the 30 games selected for the NES Mini. Pretty competitive spots there at the top 30. I think it's fair to say Trojan, not one of them. Maybe he'd disagree.
Well, Trojan definitely has its fan base, though. It's kind of a competitive game. Definitely a lot of European players for that game.
Mm-hmm. And it has a really great ending music. No one can take that away from it.
Oh yeah, definitely that. But I mean, beating Dexter in any game is very, very difficult. So props to Rich for being able to pull that off for sure. And level 9 here for Toad. He's looking good with his bomb count for sure. Health, maybe not exactly where he wants it to be. Uh-oh. Missed bomb drop there. And he's taking it a little cautiously, which is smart. As we mentioned before, Toad, even though he didn't take first, he definitely does not want to take third. And that is a possibility, especially with those Wizrobes getting a little wild.
KHANanaphone getting the swag sword stab while collecting the red candle.
That is a frame perfect trick.
Yep.
Yes. Got to see those nice frame perfect tricks.
There's that red ring.
There it is.
Multiplied his effective health by 4 or something. It's really good.
It definitely makes things a lot safer for him at this point. I think it just goes back to what we were just talking about. Gotta lock up that second place now at this point.
Could not get in the door. It gets like.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of final time KHANanaphone gets in Zelda here. I mean, he's got to be just worn out. Like, this has been pretty grueling for these guys, I'm sure.
Yeah, Mario's 1 and 3 did not go fantastic for him.
Yeah. Well, we definitely didn't make it easy on these guys, that's for sure.
Of all the 30 games there, you could have put like the RPG in there and just select the menus. But no,
we did have a plan to have, I think it was Get the Crown was going to be the potential goal for Final Fantasy if we had that in there.
Oh, that means you'd have to fight the wizards. That'd be pretty involved.
Well, I think ultimately, Fiesel, as much as he loves Final Fantasy 1, he knew how much work it was going to be for these guys to kind of get ready for this whole thing, and adding that to the mix, especially because I think at least one of them hasn't played it, would have been a little too big of an ask. So Toad having a little trouble getting in there, but because he has the red ring, it doesn't really matter. He gets the block clip eventually, and he is through.
The red ring extending his health pool by quite a bit, able to take all those hits. We'll see how many more he takes in the reverse C room. He's going to pull out that potion.
Just to make sure. Wow. Wizrobe's not being so nice to Toad. It is
the wombo combo there.
Yeah. And there's the magic sword for KHANanaphone.
Getting cursed and unable to attack. Finally gets it.
Yeah, no damage from those enemies, but takes away your ability to use the sword, which is kind of important. And silver arrows.
Potion in hand. 15 hearts. No, that's not. It's 13 hearts. Red ring. It's got to be one hell of a Ganon fight for this.
I think Toad would have to have his controller unplugged and then not be able to plug it back in somehow. If somebody came and cut the cord of his controller with some scissors or something, then he may be in trouble.
someone dives through his window for KHANanaphone. Stomps on the console. That's the only way.
You know, it's funny because I was looking back at I want to say it was AGDQ 15 or maybe it was 16. I can't remember, but you know, Lack Attack was playing and the game locked. Like it just hard locked about 7.5 minutes in, and everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, what?" All right, I guess we're restarting now. So I really hope that doesn't happen right now. That would be pretty unfair for our good buddy Toad.
Yeah, we're doing this race in celebration of the NES, and it is a remarkable console that so many of them are still alive and kicking, and have survived stories of. I put my Nintendo in the washer. I don't know how it got there, but it still works. Like, it's a durable system. So I think, old as it is, it should be reliable enough to see us through the end of a couple minutes of Zelda, right?
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. We're about to find out anyway. We've got 2 more screens there as we see Toad holding it up. How does he want to proceed? Is he going to the corner? Nah, there's really not a need for that when you've got the red ring.
Trying to find him.
Where's he at? There he is. All right, and Toad is going to finish next. He is going to be just over 3 hours.
Switching to the candle.
Minutes. Yeah, get a little candle swag in there. Why not?
Deboost off of the ashes, I guess. Burns her.
Oh my god! No.
At the stake.
That is not nice.
And is now just throwing bombs at her. He's drinking potions.
That ain't right.
And laughing. What a dark turn! I did not expect the unhappy ending.
Toad.
My goodness.
She is still happy with her hero of Hyrule, though. Nonetheless, even with his bad behavior,
apparently. I don't know.
Peace has returned, regardless of all the firebombing that's gone on at the end there. So Toad's going to finish it out. Second place, very well played by Toad. And we get to see KHANanaphone is going to be finishing things up as well. He is.
See how he handles the tough stuff here.
Yeah, he's going to handle it like a boss. That's my prediction. So far, he looks to be about, let's see, looks like he is coming up on 27 minutes into this run. He's about 26 minutes and 30 seconds into the run so far. So if nothing else, I think he may still get the best Zelda time out of our 3.
To be expected.
And look at that, just going right at it.
Just inside, like, yeah, he knows.
Yeah, don't need that hard. Let's just get it on. Come on, give me my Triforce, and I'm out of here.
It's all the way across the room. It's like the remote control. I'll just do something else. I'm not going to go all the way over there and grab it. So he's done with 8. He's moving on to 9.
KHANanaphone is asking a question. He's saying the announcers can't leave until I finish, right?
Oh.
Like is he gonna punish us? Is he gonna be like, well, let me just take my time now. I might do a 35-minute run.
We're at his mercy, to be sure. But we've said nothing but nice things about him.
We love KHANanaphone.
I'm pretty sure he's listening. Like, not only is he keeping, pretty sure he's listening to the commentary. But yeah, that is unfortunate that he's realized the power he wields in this scenario. Yes. He could just put like butts up on the screen and like we would have no trouble. But yeah, that would get through for at least a little bit. Like,
I mean, Fiesel would probably notice if he hasn't like.
Yeah, maybe, but you'd get a couple seconds of some real not safe for work stuff up there if he wanted to do that. I don't know why he would, but
I would not advocate for such thing.
No, I think that would be a terrible
that's
idea.
Against the terms of service. I would strictly avoid such actions.
As a representative of Twitch, that would look especially bad on you, actually.
Yes, it would. Please, KHANanaphone.
Contain yourself.
Have mercy. Just play the game and play it well, man. You're doing a great job. Finish out level 9 like we know you can, like a champ. So I'm thinking this has been a pretty decent run then for him, because let's see, we're gonna come up a minute and a half. I think he can get sub 31. I believe.
That's what you predicted.
I believe,
So
and yeah, that was my
30XX.
prediction, is that he would get a 30 in this game. Whereas it looks like Toad got maybe a 40-minute time. Oh, I don't know if that's correct. He's messing with the splits right now. Anyhow, KHANanaphone doing a great job handling those whiz robes. Now, I don't know that KHANanaphone picked up a potion. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
He asked Chad if he should, and they said get 2 potions, so I don't know how
Oh, wow.
that. We'll see the next time he opens his menu. Gets those bombs. That's a big drop for him. He was down to 1.
Yep, and looks like he's gonna kill a couple keys there. I'm not sure if he was actually manipulating anything or just getting them out of his way. He could probably manipulate another fairy drop, possibly, but he did just get hit there, so that might be off the table, actually. Alright, the dreaded reverse C-block room. Is it going to be kind to him? Not so far.
Put those bombs in some really key spots there to deal with the blue wizrobes. They're almost dead. They just need to come back. Look at him, he's just dancing all the way across the screen. Alright, there he is. He's done.
Nicely done.
Not as clean as Rich's, but not everyone can be as clean as Rich when you get that pattern that he got in that room. That was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, no, that was good stuff. So silver arrows, he's got him. He's ready to go take on Ganon, and hopefully he's a little nicer to Princess Zelda than Toad was. I mean, that was a little uncalled for.
Well, I think Toad was going for something that maybe KHANanaphone will also try to. I don't know. Everyone has their own way of.
It's true.
Swag
it's
into
true.
the game. Down to 5 hearts.
Yeah. But KHANanaphone, he may be the one that gets the stun lock on Ganon. We haven't seen that yet, but you can actually stun lock him if you're able to put your sword out there at the exact right time, then Ganon just can't get away from you. So we'll have to see if he can manage to get that stun lock. And you don't have to get it on the first try, you can get it on any of the subsequent tries as well. But hopefully he gets it first try. That would be pretty phenomenal.
He's low on life, but that's not going to stop him damage boosting.
Yeah.
The bladed things there.
Now it looks like he might try to pick up some drops here.
It's got the rupees.
No dice. Yeah, he's got the rupees to do it. You do need 1 rupee at the end, so you can fire that final arrow at Ganon. And maybe he's going to set up a fairy drop here on the Patra. Maybe that is what he was going for. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure he's got like his
That is
notes
indeed
out.
what he did. So he got his fairy drop, and he's in a little bit better shape here. Alright, stun lock time. Let's see it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Please no.
Just throwing that sword out there and praying at this. Oh!
Lock him up!
Oh, man.
Oh, man. I am so terrified right now.
Ah! Where is he? Where is he? Fireballs?
No!
Oh. What a...
Tragedy
He was living
strikes.
for like 30 seconds, just running around the room. Dang.
Tragedy has struck again for KHANanaphone. It was not to be. Oh, man.
Concernaphone.
I mean, we should tell KHANanaphone that you know, if he did want to stop, he can. But he is a soldier. He will probably soldier through, regardless. But that was painful, man. He's had a rough go of it so far. and that was just like the final dagger, I feel like.
Ganon is well known for stumping even the best of players, especially when it counts. I don't think anyone's ever just killed Ganon in a GD. It's always some sort of mishap.
I mean,
Fun fact about Ganon, he's actually has sprites for when moving around the room. That's why when you hit him, he sometimes different poses. But then they just like moved him underneath the floor. So he's underneath the floor moving around the whole time. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna suggest that we may as well go ahead and start getting some interviews going here. So yeah, please bring in InfestedRiche, our champ.
Champion of the people. Champion of the NES.
All right, we have our champion, InfestedRiche. Congratulations, man. What a great job you did tonight. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you. I'm feeling good. Actually, not that tired. Just hyped.
Oh, really?
Just hyped.
That's awesome.
Oh, we could tell. When you typed hype in there when you were getting ready to play Zelda, we knew that it was on.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much more swag than that. So, how did you prepare for this event, man? I mean, you just played so well. It looked like you'd been preparing it for months, but you didn't have that much time to get ready.
I don't know. I just, overall played really well today, like you said, but most of the time went into Zelda because it's longest game, and I was a complete beginner at it when I got invited to do this race, and I hadn't even beaten the game like 2 weeks ago. So I started fresh learned like the beginner route of Blue Ring, just to get a feel for the game. Swapped over to try the free first route, but I felt like it was too risky, so I started grinding it down the route that I did here with 2 first and a white sword.
Well, that's what we noticed throughout the course, as we see KHANanaphone does indeed finish up, so congratulations to him on getting done there with a time of 3:33.53. Yeah, we saw that you just played really consistently and you didn't go too risky on any of the games. Like in Mega Man 2, for instance, we were noticing there was a few zips that you skipped out on, and I was wondering, I wanted to ask you, was that because you knew you were so far ahead, or was it also because you were just like, I don't need to go for something that risky?
I had decided way before the race that I wouldn't go for them, no matter what.
So did you adjust your strategy at all, knowing how far you were ahead? You were presumably watching the other runners, correct?
Yeah, I was watching, but not really. When I had a rocky starter with Castlevania, didn't get the bat boost in the beginning. Like took like 3 tries or something. I got like low spawns and I messed up the timing on one of the times, I think. But I think it was when I saw that Toad and KHANanaphone died on Mother Brain and Metroid, where I just didn't care about anything and just focused on my TV and the games. And I did glance over at the chat every now and then, but then I was like, no, what am I doing? I'm losing focus.
It's like I said, you got 2 different kinds of people who really pay attention and look for those strategic moments where they can make some decisions that will maybe be beneficial, and then there's other people who just focus, just laser focus on the thing that they prepared for, the thing they practiced, just execute on it, and it's always fun to see which side people fall on. So Rich is in team focus.
All right. Well, once again, great job, InfestedRiche. Congratulations on winning this invitational race, and we look forward to seeing you in the next Big 20. All right, do you think you can take that one down, my friend?
Hopefully. I finished second place twice both times I entered, so I want that first place.
Well, we definitely want to see you in there, and we'll look forward to seeing you at AGDQ. So thank you once again. We're going to talk to Toad a little bit here, but great job, man.
Thank you.
think Toad's already here.
I think he is. Hi there, Toad.
How's it going?
It is going well, man. Thank you for putting on a great show tonight for us. There were some ups and downs in this race. There were some ups and downs. Why don't you tell us about the run from your perspective?
Well, I saw I was up really early, and as Castlevania goes, most of it's pretty simple. So I was just kind of coasting, and then the mummies decided to throw a curveball way out of left field with RNG. I just never had experience before, so I just kind of crept in the corner and tried to stay, but it was a dumb idea. So after that, Castlevania went rocky back and forth, but then Metroid happened. Metroid was actually going incredibly great, and I thought I would take a risk at the end there to try to even me and reach out. I had enough missiles, and I squandered way too many of them at the end, which cost me like 3 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it looked like you were gonna leave the room and then come back in. You're gonna leave the room to farm and come back in, which I felt like it was really risky either way, because if you left the room and farmed and you didn't get missiles, then that would have been pretty much the end, right? Like your race is done.
Oh yeah, that would have been the end. Yeah,
it was scary either way, man. I was like, wow, this guy is in a situation where he just has no good choices. So, but you ended up coming back there, and then you were in it, man. There was definitely we kept seeing you creep back, and then tell us a little bit about Mega Man 2.
Yeah, so in Mega Man 2, I know I was behind, and I know I have the biggest advantage in this game, so I figured I'd go for pretty much everything. Gotta put it all on the line when you're behind. Throw that Hail Mary pass. A couple of things I might have not needed to do, like say the double KO that went south really fast. But for the most part, I wasn't actually too dissatisfied with Mega Man 2. All the zips pretty much went as expected, except right there at the end again. That was just unfortunate. I turned around a frame too late instead of turning out a little earlier and then just wiggling.
Purple hell, man.
Yeah, purple hell. Always and forever.
Always and forever, indeed.
But yeah, overall, I wasn't too dissatisfied. I went for a lot of the little swaggier stuff like Biggie, and it didn't pull through. But the backups are quick enough, so I didn't think it was so bad.
Well, we certainly enjoyed watching, and you did do a good job there in Zelda at the end, I thought. So, great job, man. Thank you for participating in this. We're really looking forward to seeing your runs at AGDQ. Can you tell us what to expect in your race against the Mexican runner before you go?
Oh my god. I probably expect within a 2-second finish at GDQ. I think we're both extremely consistent. I think we're both, at the top of our game right now. We both PB'd within the last week, and both of our PBs are within 2 seconds. I think it's going to be a race to remember, for sure.
Great. Well, thanks again, man, and we'll look forward to that. We are going to close it out here with talking to KHANanaphone, our last runner. So I believe we have him in the call as well.
All right, thank you. InfestedRiche.
Thanks a lot, Toad.
Hello.
There he is.
There he is.
All right, so I learned a couple things.
Okay.
Probably don't play for 6 hours before doing this race.
Yeah, it's a long race.
Yeah.
9 hours of games that you set up for yourself.
Yeah. The practice was valuable, but by the end I couldn't really figure out what... Mega Man 2 was, sort of near the middle of it. I couldn't figure out, which boss... I went to the wrong boss first. I went to Bolo Man with no Metal Blade. So I had to... I killed him with Quick Boomerang, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's like a soft weakness.
I got lucky, though. I got 2 random 1-ups, which turned out to help
we saw that.
Because I died 2 extra times. Anyway, I guess I could start at the start. Castlevania I was very happy with that. My only issue, I think, was the skip at level 1.
The Papoose, yeah.
Dracula,
you and Rich were actually neck and neck through almost all of Castlevania. You both missed the Papoose the same way and then got it the same way.
Yeah, I was sort of watching. And Toad died on 3.
Yeah. The mummies gave him the most ridiculous pattern I've ever seen.
Yeah. Do they actually do that? I don't remember. Or from what I've practiced, they seem to do the same thing all the time. But
They are a little
again,
random. They'll move around, but one of them, the one on the right, just went to the right corner and just stayed there.
Yeah, that would be an issue if that happens.
Yeah.
There were some things I never saw before, like in Mario Bros. I had no idea that last fireball was actually dangerous until I ran into it. I still somehow had the best time on that at 7:36. That was weird. I died to the first Goomba because I couldn't see my screen. It was great.
Oh, and
I mean, I'm bad. Yeah, that's too bad I died at the end because I was going to be like one death. Only one death. That's pretty good. Just to that Goomba. Metroid, I pretty much expected to lose like 4 minutes there, but I lost an extra 4 dying to Mother Brain. I didn't do Big 20 number 5, so that sort of... I had never done Mother Brain in my life before. And I don't really care much for Metroid. So, actually, I don't know. This category was sort of fun. Maybe I'm warming up to it.
Well, that's nice.
Well, I guess the
Even
big
though
question
you
is,
had the bad experience with Mother Brain.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I blew it.
are we going to see you in another Big 20, though?
Yeah, probably. I regretted not doing the 5th one.
Well, we will definitely look forward to that, and thank you for your participation. It was a really tough run. It was a really tough task, so we're glad that you agreed to participate and take on this massive challenge, which everybody had struggles in like several games. Nobody had an easy path to victory. Even InfestedRiche, who had super consistency, still had the struggles going on. But thanks a lot again, and we hope to see you in the next Big 20 race.
All right, that sounds good.
All right. Well, with that, I